Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night.
Greeting, traveler.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Born to Be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, Nate Wolf. Super cool to be back here on another Friday evening with a really special guest.
I'm Hydralisk. I'm stoked to be here Friday night, and we got a good show for you guys.
Yo, it's your boy Mike Lowe. I'm in full rebrand mode, aka Black Rock, ready to do this. How we doing tonight?
We're doing great. We're doing great. And yeah, Mike, we got a really special guest joining us tonight. Who do we got?
Not just any special guest. Like, check this right. I've been on this show for 7-8 months. I don't know. I'm getting gray hairs now. I'm an old man, OG around here. So we've had a lot of guests. I was really excited for this month, to do Black History Month, to use this platform to get players of people of color who play Hearthstone to get on here. Use the platform to talk about themselves, people to get to know them. But getting to know this person, if you play Hearthstone, there's no way you don't know this person. The dude is very, very famous within the scene. Big Twitch partner. This dude's got accolades longer, taller than me if I stood up, man. I was going to read them all on stream, but it's just crazy. This guy's super famous, you know what I'm saying? I'm really hyped for this person tonight. I'm really excited to dig into his brain and see how he thinks about the scene and the game. Everybody give it up for our new homeboy, Pizza. What up, Pizza?
Yeah.
Yo, welcome to the show, Pizza. Happy to have you.
Long
great
time
to be
legend.
here. Thanks for having me.
Long time legend. He played Wild before Wild was Wild. You know what I'm saying? One of the OGs, man. I can't wait. I'm
excited. I have to say, I think that hands down, you are the best player that we have ever had on this show. Hands down. I'm just in awe. I'm excited. So this is great. I'm having kind of a fanboy moment. So this is really cool.
It's crazy. Somebody finally took my mantle, so you can have it, man. It's crazy.
Thanks, appreciate it. Don't worry, you can have it nice soon. Just keep working on it.
Oh god,
I'm just messing. Yeah, this is cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you on the show, Pizza. We really appreciate it.
No, it's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So what we like to do when we kick off the show, we like to just see how everybody's doing, check in, see what your week's been like, what you've been doing in Hearthstone and in life. And Nate, let's start with you. What have you been up to, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good week. I just on a personal level, I got my second COVID vaccine, and so actually, I think it was just a little bit less than a week ago, over the past week, and so I should be supposedly have immunity now. I guess we'll see. I mean, you still have to take it seriously and keep distance and mask up and wash hands and all that stuff. But so step in the right direction. From a Hearthstone point of view, I just hit 1K. 1K wins with Rogue. Did it on stream. It was really fun. Did a little co-op with Blue Train and playing a super aggro Odd Rogue, and that was a blast. And so it's been a good week. Work has been busy and stuff, but finally got that 1K Rogue wins, and so my next two closest classes are Warrior and Shaman, who are both at about 850. So we'll start working on those next. Yeah. How about you guys?
Yeah, Mike, what have you been up to this week?
Yeah, this week's been pretty fun. Been playing a lot of different dragon-only decks. So making decks where the minions that I add to them only have the dragon tribe. It's been pretty cool. Obviously, I've been catching a lot of L's, but it's been pretty fun. It's kind of, but it's been good to refresh the spirit playing, the same game just in a different way. I tried some on ladder, but I'm still in diamond, so that didn't work out too well. I've been playing, some Mizaki Mage, but I really got this high off of Pure Paladin. I'm over it now, but it was going on for 4 or 5 days. It doesn't really hold up. It'll climb you through all the ranks up to diamond. Somehow I got to diamond. Somehow I got to Diamond 5, and then I just been at Diamond 5 for 3 days now, so I'm over Pure Paladin. I'm just waiting for the next deck to catch my eye. But the biggest hype of the week, aside from Pizza being here, of course, yesterday I was streaming and Dr. Evil came to my stream, and I had a crowd. I got a raid from Martian Boo. Shout out to Boo. It was like 50, 60 people. And then Dr. Evil donated 20 subs to my channel.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yo, like
Nice.
she straight up came into my channel and just dropped 20 subs in my head. It was awesome, man. So like I was just really hyped, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm still like in shock and like in awe. So like I'd like collect myself, you know, act like you've been there, a button up, just say thank you. But like once I got off stream, I was like geeking out, like, oh, it's crazy, blah blah. But I'm really excited, man. Like it's been an awesome week, and I'm ready to just keep this going. So yo, Hydra, how's your week been?
My week's been really, really good. I am just happy that it's Friday. Work's been chaos. The way my work works is at the end of the month, there's this big push to get as much of our product out the door. And being in the quality side of things, I am like the last line where I have to sign off on everything, on all our instrumentation and stuff. And it like today was horrible. So I'm just stoked to be here. I'm stoked to do the show. It's always my favorite night of the week. And so I'm glad that's all over. I'm stoked to play a lot this weekend. I'm a little bit late to the party, but I started playing some Dark Glare, and I am enjoying it. Actually, I did some co-op with Glare himself on the deck, and we could talk about that a little more later, but I am really, really enjoying it. And that's been a lot of fun. Also, I'm just doing, you know, my weekly grind on the different servers, trying to like keep up my collection. I know, Mike, you said you started on EU, didn't you?
Yeah, you're right. Ever since I said that, I kind of forgot.
Oh well, yeah, it's all good. But that's just something out. I've been filling out my collection, so just buying more packs. Not buying, but you know, spending my gold on packs and been filling that out. That's basically been my week. I haven't done anything extravagant, but I'm really looking forward to learning Dark Glare a lot more. It's a lot of fun putting yourself kind of in the danger zone and guessing. You know, like you can't put yourself too low because of what they might have in their hand and all that. So it's a lot of fun, and looking forward to still learning a lot more about it and getting better at the deck.
God. Hydra discovered Dark Glare. Holy crap! This is gonna be crazy.
So yeah,
it's good back for them. It's good for you.
Yeah, so I gotta play it a whole bunch more. How about you, Pizza? What have you been up to?
My week's been busy. The end of the month is kind of coming now, so this month qualifies for the Master Store.
Nice.
I've been playing a lot of NA, a lot of EU. I think I'm hovering around like top 100 or so on NA. So hopefully this week we can make a push and then poise ourselves for a finish. Outside of that, like the core set announcement came out, so a lot of revision of that. I mean, this week is pretty much just like a lot of, you know, keeping my head down and focusing on Hearthstone a little bit more than usual, but otherwise good. Kind of just chilling, streaming.
Sweet.
Nice. Speaking of streaming, yeah, I mean, for people who aren't as familiar with you, I mean, heaven forbid they should be, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of, you know, who are you? What's your origin story? How did you get started playing Hearthstone? And, you know, tell us a little bit about your experience with some of these top finishes and grandmasters and stuff.
Yeah, man.
Sure. So my name is Andrew. I play by the name Pizza, obviously. I've been playing card games for as long as I can remember. I started like taking it a little bit more seriously towards the end of high school. That's when I started picking up Magic the Gathering, and immediately, like kind of out of that kind of experience, I started getting a lot more competitive. I live in New York, so most of like that kind of scene is one of the like serious grinders, especially like in Manhattan. And from there, I kind of like took that very seriously for quite some time up until Hearthstone came out. And then in the Hearthstone beta, I took a lot of ESL like tournaments. I think that my first top 100 finish was like a couple months after like I'd started, and then like school and everything kind of just like messed up until I had qualified for the Americas playoffs. And that's when I started streaming and like taking it a little bit more seriously in the Hearthstone sense, and then shifted away from Magic quite a bit. But as long as I can remember, I've been playing cards. So
That's really cool. I wish I had started playing card games at an early age. I had a friend who tried to get me into Magic the Gathering. We're talking around like 1996, and tried to show me how to play the game, and I did not grasp it, and I didn't understand. and that was a great opportunity for me to get in the door and learn. I thought it was silly, and now look at me. I'm on a podcast that talks about cards. So
Don't worry, I'm right there with you. I remember being in high school, and like my friend took me to a card shop to buy packs, and he was like showing me all the Magic stuff, and I think back, and I remember distinctly thinking, "This is stupid," and look at me now.
That's hilarious. I love it. So when it comes to Hearthstone, like I've noticed when I watch your stream, I see you play a lot of Warlock, and I've seen you play Rogue and whatnot. Are those like what's your favorite class, or what's your favorite type of deck that you like to play, and why?
My favorite class is Warlock. I started playing Hearthstone because of the life tap mechanic. Just being able to have access to free cards just seemed like too appealing, I guess in terms of like styles of decks that I play, I really like tempo decks. I really like more of the aggressive type decks, especially because Hearthstone is just the type of game where you can't really interact with your opponent on their turn, being able to present something, being able to be the person who kind of dictates like, okay, this is the threat we're dealing with. Can you deal with it? If you can't, you die. Like making sure that you have that type of like mentality into a game generally will be like something that will be a little bit more forceful. It gives you a little bit more control compared to like control decks where you have a lot of defensive tools, but no actual like way to win the game at certain points. So sometimes you can stumble and then you can just ultimately still die. Like I like being in that position where I can always kind of force the game where I want it to.
Make them play to your play style. Make them have the answers.
Yeah.
I like it.
I noticed you're into anime. I think you had mentioned that your favorite anime was Neon Genesis Evangelion. Is that right? I see the statues in the background.
Right. That's right.
Oh, old school. I like it.
Hey, speaking of old school, what's up, Pizza? How you doing?
What's going on, man? How are you?
2 questions. Real quick. Is it cool if I ask your age? How old are you?
I am 30.
30? Oh, word. Okay, so we're on the same. I'm 33. Perfect. So I transitioned into Hearthstone from Magic. So my question is a little dated before that. Did you ever check out any other card games such as like Legends of the Five Rings or Yu Yu Hakusho or the early DBZ back in 2002, 2003?
Yeah, I when I played Magic, I used to work in a card store, so we would constantly kind of have those other card games kind of come into it. A lot of it was obviously Japanese, like Wibe Schwartz, Cardfight Vanguard, and that stuff. But before that, when I worked in a comic book store, Jim Hanley's Universe, Legends of the Five Rings was like one of the card games that like had a small community behind it. And the great thing about Legends of the Five Rings, if anybody's listening and knows about that, is that like people are very committed to their kind of group. Like it's a very flavorful kind of a game. So
yeah, definitely, that's very true. No, I brought that up because I used to play back in 2002, the first iteration of Dragon Ball Z. They had a trading card game. Like Magic, they had different styles and colors. And I always played as Goku. So I had a little clique. It was like me and a couple of Spanish dudes, and I live in New Hampshire, so a little shop called Double Midnight Comics. But everybody's friendly in the comic shop, you know what I'm saying? That space, card shop. So I played that deck for so many years and like over and over, just that Goku, it was a black style. So that's where my original gamer tag came from. It was a play off of Goku's DBZ name, Kakarot. So this dude JD, he was like, "Yo, man, you always playing that Goku deck." He's like, "I'm gonna call you Blackarot." You know what I'm saying? I was like, and mind you, I live in New Hampshire, so it was like that moment in the movie where everyone's like, "Oh," everyone's looking around, and I look back and I was like, "Yo, I mess with that. That's a cool name." And everyone's like, "All right, it's cool, you know." So I had decided, you know what I'm saying? Black History Month. I appreciate you coming on, man. I felt the confidence. I was like, I'm gonna go back to my original gamer tag. I switched it because of that pressure in the first place. So feels cool to have that, you know what I'm saying, that space and freedom, and have friends to go back to that. So appreciate answering that question about the old school card games, because I didn't know if you had knew about them. A lot of people don't know about Legend of the Five Rings, so I'm glad you know about that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What was your? Sorry, you say you had another question, Mike?
Oh, no. No, I was saying I appreciate Pizza answering that question, especially about the Legend of Five Rings, because that was one of my favorite games when I was younger, but a lot of people don't even know about it now. So like sometimes I'll bring it up and they'll be like, "What?" And I'm like, never mind. It's cool.
Yeah, no, you've been around. Hey, Pizza, I saw here that you do content creation for Tempo Storm. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For the Tempo Storm Meta Snapshot, I don't make content, but I'm signed to them as a streamer.
Ah, okay. Super cool. We've got some friends in there. And yeah, that's really cool. Great team.
That was recent, right? That was recent?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Oh, I thought you made a post or a video last week or the week before. I apologize.
The official announcement, like they have a lot of so they have a lot of like production. Tempo Storm primarily is like shifting towards media. So they like back a lot of like the Twitch stuff that's been going on. And obviously like with COVID, it's very difficult for them to like put on sort of productions. So like when everything's finally like does finish, they plan on producing a lot of things with their streamers, but their like official announcement video for everybody was kind of finalized and released this month. It was me and 2 other streamers named Big John and Lichlings. I believe one is a World of Warcraft streamer and the other one is a speedrunner. So like those kinds of announcements, and Tempo Storm plans on like releasing a lot of that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Okay. Appreciate you answering that about Tempo Storm. So
yeah, sorry, one final question. We typically ask this of each of our guests. How did you come up with your username? Where does pizza come from?
Oh, it's really not that, complicated of a thing. I was playing Hearthstone, and again, I didn't really anticipate playing too much of Hearthstone, and I was eating pizza at the time, and I thought like, this is fine. I probably won't play this much Hearthstone, so I'll just go with that. And the thing about it is that you can't change your name if you want to participate in the like America's prelims or like any of the championship events. So like you're kind of just stuck with it. And then by that time, I showed up to a live event and everybody kind of knew me as Pizza, and it's like, okay, there's no going back now. So
I don't know if you heard a couple weeks back that you were an inspiration for one of our friends' Breadsticks coming up with his username, and I think that was hilarious and great story behind that.
Oh yeah, I'm actually like really old friends with Breadsticks. He's from Philadelphia, which is also a very big Magic city. So we met like I want to say maybe 10 years ago, like playing in tournaments. So we've known each other ever since. So that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, that's dope, man. When he said that, like I felt so dumb. Like I was like, yo, pizza, breadsticks. I never put it together, man. Like 2 cool dudes, 2 cool usernames. That's dope.
Right?
That's an awesome story, man. For real.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike. Yeah, let's talk about the listener series for a few minutes.
All right, let's transition to listener series. So, first up, people ask, what is the Born to Be Wild listener series? So the Born to Be Wild listener series is a 5 to 8 week tournament where we take the idea of, Team Hearth League, Wild Side. We have Brian O'Brien and Labor. They do wild tournaments. We'll take that idea and we'll stretch it into a series where you're going to play Swiss rounds for 5 weeks. So in those 5 weeks, you're playing for placement points. And at the end of the 5 weeks, we do a top 12 cut out of all the players. And the last 3 weeks would be a playoff round, just like if you were to sign up for a 1 to 2 day tournament. A lot of people were confused on how the series worked. So I just wanted to explain it that way, that it's over 8 weeks and it's 5 weeks of Swiss, and we do a cut at 5 weeks. So in those 3 weeks, when we do playoffs, the other players who didn't make playoffs can still participate because we will be spinning the wheel for the players in the playoffs. So I don't want people to, feel like because if they don't make playoffs, what's the point to keep playing? I definitely want people to feel the need to keep playing or the enjoyment that they find in it. We have a lot of people who are enjoying it right now, so it's very exciting. Right now, number 1 on the leaderboard is still Dr. Evil. Shout out Dr. Evil. Taylor.
Yeah.
She's undefeated, right?
Undefeated, unscathed, unchinked armor. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have said nothing in week 1 when she was playing Nate, or week 2. She just decided, to just go cutthroat like she did 2 years, turn her back into the old Taylor, and she's just killing everybody. So shout out to Dr. Evil.
Shout out.
Like, for real, she's really killing it. This week's deck building challenge for week 4 was dragons only. I called it Galakron's Awakening because I thought it was cute. But anyway, you have to have a minimum of 10 dragon minions. You cannot add any other minions. You are allowed to have spells and weapons and hero cards in your deck. I played today on stream versus Labor Sangre. He beat me thoroughly, 3-1. He's nice though, he gifted me 1 win because his deck had a card that DQ'd him. So
illegal.
He's a hell of a player, that guy, and deck builder.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna cheat, make sure you do it against like somebody who's not as good and somebody who's not the commissioner and not on stream. So yeah, you probably want to avoid that. But I'm just messing around. He knows I'm messing. No, we were having fun with it. He had messaged me and he was like, "Dang," he's like, "If I could keep this card, the combo would have been really good." He had was it Dragon Hatcher? So at the end of the turn, it'll pull a dragon from the deck.
Oh,
It was a
yeah.
very smart idea. It was very genius. But when he played it, I was like, "Hold up!" I was like, "Yes!" I was like, "I get the win." I'm like, "Sorry, buddy, DQ." But it's all good. Labor got the win. He's moving on. Playoffs are shaping up. We're gonna have the standings in the chat pretty soon. Yeah. So this week was Dragon Week, and next week's challenge is on Wheel Decide. Nate, do we have time to spin that wheel tonight?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Hey, I like that. I'm excited about that. While Nate gets that wheel set up, people are asking how they can sign up. So we've had some issues with Google Forms sometimes and submissions. So the most surefire way, most guaranteed way, is to join our Discord. It's a very inclusive community. Me, Nate, Hydra. We even got Pizza in here. You know what I'm saying? Great people. Come right in. Ask. You could tag me how to join the series, and then I will take care of you from there. Bring you over to our tournament server and get you all set up. We had a situation this week where we need to fill a spot, and shout out to team Amberflight Gaming. They sent over Bit Beaker. Well, he came himself, but he represents Amberflight Gaming. He stepped up and he said he wanted to play some Dragon decks and get into Dragon Week and check out the series overall. So he came to the Discord, and I brought him over to the tournament Discord, and he joined right in. So I'm really excited about that. So shout out to Bit Beaker and Amberflight Gaming. Really excited about that.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me 2 seconds here. Sorry about that. Let me get the wheel here.
Hey, no problem. Speaking of Dragon Week, it's looking like after the show tonight, we'll have a match set up for the viewers. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So this will be a blast. And instead of doing our normal kind of co-op stuff, we're going to be doing a live matchup. It's Seth tonight, right? Seth versus Megamog.
Megamog, yeah.
That'll be nice. I love all the different challenges.
All right.
We have deck building. Let's see what we get here.
Okay, so here is the wheel. There's some options. Epic Fails Week, Commoner's Ball, Groundhog Day, 1600 Dust, Low Budget, and I got the keys.
I forgot who submitted some of those, but they were funny when they came in. I was like, this is silly.
All right, Mike. All right. We got the keys. Tell us what this means.
We got the keys. All right. So this week, the only minions that can be added to your deck, they must have a keyword. So you cannot add any basic minions to your deck. No vanilla minions. And then also, no weapons are allowed.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So the only submissions on here that are for me are the wheels gone. But there's 2. But the rest were submitted from people that are joining the league. So I'm really excited about this. It was cool before we started the season, to do some research within the group to ask people who were going to be a part of it. What would be some cool challenges? So when I got some of these submissions, I was just like scratching my head. I'm like, I never would have thought of some of this stuff. So it's pretty cool to see it. But I'm really excited for this week. So week 5 will be keyword minions only and no weapons.
So keywords meaning lifesteal, charge, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. So if I could say it a different way, or in addition to what I said, minions that have bold text on them. How else can I word this? So it's really like simple.
That makes sense.
Keyword would be good enough. It's good enough. Okay.
Yeah, the bold text with a keyword.
Yeah. So a minion, for an example, that would not be allowed, as silly as this is, would be what is that 4-mana minion? Chillwind Yeti. Yeah. So this week, Chillwind Yeti, he's too OP. He's banned. So
but that means no end of turn effects. That means no.
Yes. Thank you.
And no and other things like Alkali to Pain. It's got an ability, but it's not a keyword. So we're talking about charge. We're talking about death rattle. We're talking about poison, divine shield. So there's a lot of different options.
Yep.
And spells are still okay. Spells and hero cards.
Yes. All spells are fine. Hero cards are fine. Minions that have keywords are fine. Minions that do not have keywords are not allowed, and weapons are not allowed. Real quick, I wouldn't do this normally, but I'm reading chat. Sword Eater is allowed because it has taunt. It has a keyword. It is allowed. All right.
That's exciting.
Is Rogue allowed to hit their hero power?
That's not a card. That's fine.
Okay, now you're pushing it. So let's get back. One last thing is I wanted to touch on. There were some situations throughout the first 4 weeks where there were some players who couldn't play the current week rules because of their collection, and then also the same issue matched with their opponent. I would like to reiterate once again, if you do not have the cards to match the rules for the week, we do have a secondary option. I stole it 100% from Magic: The Gathering. It's called Pauper, where you and your opponent can play a deck with common and basic cards only. I really don't want people to feel excluded from being a part of this idea. The whole idea was to build a scene where people can come jump in and play different custom challenges. So within that, if you feel that you can't play, please reach out to me or an admin and make sure you let us know that you want to step back. Don't enter a situation where you're going to have to ghost, because we don't want, me personally, I'll say this for myself. I don't want that like negative energy for you. It's really silly. It's just a card game. Life happens. Trust me. Nate and Hydra could tell you there's been plenty of times where me, myself, I've had to step back from show duties to take care of real life stuff. So there's no problem. Like, we're all human. Just send us a message if you can't do it. If you got a ghost, it's no problem. If you don't have a collection, we have other rules. We could help you and your opponent out. I really will do anything I can to make sure you guys have rules that will help you with your collection. The whole point for even starting this was to be inclusive. So please don't worry or feel nervous about reaching out to us. I'm really excited about this series. We will be doing season 2 and season 3. No worries. We're getting bigger. We got people joining the board. Like, we're ramping up. Let me kick it to Nate and Hydra in case they want to kick in, and then it's news time.
Yeah, I do want to say just that you got to know what you're getting yourself into. The nature of the series is it's based on community involvement, an inclusive atmosphere. Everybody is welcome, and also the point of this is deck building challenges. Each week there's a special challenge, and it relies on some kind of deck building thing. So the point is, when you're playing in the listener series, it's not like you're playing normal ladder matches. So, if you're looking to go play competitive tournament ladder matches, like, you're playing Darkglare Warlock against Secret Mage against, Kingsbane Rogue, whatever, Wild THL is more of the place where you will see that type of thing. And so, if you're looking for that, by all means, I think that's a different sort of competitive tournament environment. We play in that from time to time as well. And so, if you're looking for that setting, I highly recommend Wild Team Hearth Legends. If you're looking for deck building challenge and community involvement, I highly recommend our listener series. And it's just been a blast. And we've also received a lot of fun feedback for it. It's free to enter. There's no cost. It's very inclusive. If you want to find more about it, the easiest way is just go to our Discord. If you go to the website, borntobewildhs.com, there's a link on the Find Us page to the Discord, and in the Discord, there's a tournament channel, and all of the info is there. And so that's, we're happy to answer any questions. And Hydra, do you have anything to add or anything?
No, I'm just, I like seeing all the community, everybody come together. It seems that a lot of people are having fun with this, and deck building challenges. One thing that you can do that I've noticed a lot of people are doing is, if you have a deck that you want to practice and it's not ideal for you to bring it on ladder because you're probably going to lose, you can go in the Discord and you can verse other people that are testing their decks, as long as it's not your opponent, right? So hop in the Discord, ask people if you want to test decks, and people are there all the time asking and saying yes, and people are having fun testing their decks, and they're just having a good time in the community.
They really do be there all the time. I'm on the East Coast, and sometimes like 3 a.m. I see y'all talking. Like, damn, go to bed. Just kidding. Love y'all.
All right, let's talk about some news then. So yesterday we had the core set announced. They dropped every card. They revealed every card. Pizza, I was watching. You did a little bit of review in your stream. You've had a chance to look at these cards. Quite a bit. What is it? 265? Is that right?
I believe so.
It's a lot of cards, and so a couple of things I've been watching very closely. Kind of the dev comments on Twitter. A couple of them, particularly Ixar and Celeston, are very active on Twitter, and people have been asking them questions all week. And so I got together with Ridiculous Hat, and we have a little bit of an FAQ. So before we get started into this core set, a couple things that I wanted to bring up briefly, and any of you guys, please feel free to chime in. But there were a lot of questions, and these are sort of the answers to those. So first up, the core set goes live when the new expansion drops, which we don't have a date for yet. We're thinking probably in March, but Ixar said could be in April. Blizzard team is working from home, and so if things go sideways for whatever reason, they said they were fine pushing back. It sounds like everything's probably good to go. Everybody gets the entire core set for free, so 260 plus cards. Everybody gets them for free. The core set cards unlock as you unlock your classes. So once you've reached a cumulative total of 60 across all classes, you unlock the entire card set. And then the way that gold cards unlock, and I have a little thing here. So the way that the gold cards unlock is that by getting your ranked wins at 50, 100, 250, 500. So ranked wins at 50 with a class, you get golden commons. Ranked wins at 100, you get all the golden rares. Ranked wins at 250, you get the golden epics. And ranked wins at 500, you get the golden legendaries. My poor demon hunter is going to be very not golden.
Oh, damn.
And the rest of the classes will be blinged out. But
I didn't think of that.
It's interesting that they're doing it this way, because historically, like the base set or whatever, their evergreen set, you would unlock them by hitting level 60 with a class, right? Not getting ranked wins. So it's a little bit different, but it's interesting. So hey, golden legendaries though, and especially for those of us who've been playing for a long time, have some nice blinged out cards.
I like the sound of that.
So and then they're changing a bunch of cards, right? So in this set, I think it's 265 cards. There are 29 new cards, and then they're making changes to, I believe it's 51 cards, existing cards, and then they're pulling some cards from Wild into Standard. And as a Wild show, like, we don't really think about that all too much. Now, the interesting piece is that this core set, in your collection manager, it will be listed as a separate set. So this will be the core set. And so if you've got 2 copies of a card, well, let me put it this way. You cannot have multiple versions of a card in one deck. And so you can't, for example, Sorcerer's Apprentice, that's a bad example. What is the 2 mana 2/3 that's in Secret Mage that draws a spell or draws a secret? You know what I'm talking about?
Arcanologist.
Yes, exactly. So you can't have, there will be 2 copies of Arcanologist in the core set, and then you've got another 2 in your old set. Like, you can't put 4 in your deck. Someone had asked that question specifically. It's still limited to both. So this was the question, yeah. Will you be able to run 4 copies of Arcanologist, the same deck? Celestalon says no. Can't run 4 copies of the same card. And then, let me see what else here. The changes to the permanent set, I think there was some confusion, right? Because we've got Classic coming. And in Classic, you play the game as it was when we all started back in, 2014, right? And the cards are different in Classic. But in this new core set, they're making a bunch of changes to existing cards. And so there was some confusion on, hey, my Bluegill Warrior, is it going to be one way in Standard and a different way in Wild? And the answer across the board was no. These changes affect all of the copies everywhere. And so here's the tweet here. What happens when cards to cards which are changed? For example, Warsong Commander, is there going to be 2 different versions? And Celestion has repeatedly said these are permanent changes to cards that have the same name. And so it doesn't matter what format you're playing it in. This card is now different. It's essentially like, I don't know, like buffs and nerfs, collection wide. Let's see here.
Yo, when they asked that question about can you play 4 cards in one deck, Celestion should have hit him back with that with that James Harden meme with that look. Like, come on, bro. Like,
what
4
do you
cards
think?
in one deck? Like, come on, son. Like,
That's funny. So here's an interesting question, right? They're saying because there's 2 separate sets, right? I've got the core set, and then I've got whatever original set that these cards came in. Is it safe to disenchant your old versions of the card? And Celestion essentially says, like, look, if you've got, so now I've got 4 copies. Say Archanologist is a good example, right? I've got 4 copies now,
yeah.
two in my collection, and then 2 in the core set. If I dust my 2 in my collection, I've still got 2 that I can play with in the core set. But once the core set rotates, if these cards come out, like, you potentially don't have those cards anymore. And so my advice would be, like, don't go start dusting all your cards just because a couple of them are now in the core set.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, they're giving us free cards, and some of those free cards reflect the cards you already have. So if you sell the ones you have and they take the free ones away, you don't have any. I understood it. I saw those tweets. I was just like, come on, y'all. You're asking questions. Like, come on.
Pizza, do you dust your cards when they rotate, or do you keep a full wild collection?
I used to. I used to be free to play, but not so much anymore. It's a lot of work to disenchant everything. Maybe if there was like a disenchant all button, I could, but like it's just not worth it anymore.
Let's see here. There was a couple other things here. So here's the question that keeps coming up over and over and over. I've asked it. 3 or 4 other people have also asked it. And so the question is, what happens to these cards when they rotate, right? So we all get this giant collection, 265 cards for free, including some new ones. And a year from now, when these, well, I guess what they've said is we're planning on potentially changing up the core set each year. What does that mean? We're not quite sure. I imagine a lot of it probably stays, but they may pull some cards out. They may add some different ones. They may make some tweaks or whatever. And so the question, especially pertaining to the 29 new cards, is a year from now, if any of these new cards rotate out and they're no longer part of the core set, what happens? Like, are they just gone? Or, you know, what's going on? And consistently they keep saying it's too early to tell, we don't know. And so wanted to make this clear for everybody. So here's the question. When the core set refreshes, swaps out after the next rotation, will the cards that go away be available in Wild if they didn't originate from there? Are those cards removed from the game? And the answer was, it's too early to tell for sure what the future holds for over a year from now. But the current idea is that any core exclusive cards that rotate after this year would move to Legacy, which is their Wild format. We'll evaluate that for sure when we get to that point. That's over a year away. I've had so many people ask me over this week what's happening with it. They don't know. Stop asking. Enjoy your free giant set of cards.
Yes, that. Like, the focus should be on we're getting a bunch of free cards. I'm excited about that. Yo, Pizza, how do you feel about this whole new core set idea? I'm not focused on like what's gonna happen after. I'm focused like right now. Like, how do you feel about it coming now?
The concept of core set, I'm a big fan. I've always been a really big proponent for core sets in general. I feel like in like the basic and classic set really didn't set up Hearthstone for kind of a long-term plan, and it really kind of shows if you look at the history of Hearthstone. A lot of the nerfs and a lot of the balance changes like really I don't want to use the word doomed, but like kind of just like set up a lot of issues for the future. And in the past couple of months we've kind of seen it. A lot of emphasis gets put onto sets to be good and to have good cards to replace cards that were nerfed at a classic. and then the game gets more expensive, and then people start to get more upset. And I think that like being able to like have something that kind of cycles, and the devs have a little bit more control over and can cycle at a yearly basis, like, is a really healthy way to adjust the format. We're kind of seeing it now. I think that the biggest flaw is what you referred to before with like the legacy of just like, what if now there's just a set of just, you know, like a Hearthstone dumping grounds where all the old cards get stuffed into now. But again, like you said, like a year from now, we'll figure that out. It's good that the devs have control over what they want the year of Hearthstone to look like. So I'm a really, really big fan of the core set.
Nice. One last thing, and I think this is gigantic news, especially for us Wild players, that kind of snuck in under the radar. So Zeddy was complaining about these revisions to new cards, or excuse me, revisions to existing cards, and saying, well, Wild isn't going to be the same anymore with these changes. And Ixar said, hey, we're reverting most of the nerfs that we've ever done in an upcoming patch. So they're talking about 30 plus nerf revisions. And I think for people who have been asking for Wild meta shakeup, like, this will do it. My goodness. Can you imagine like 30 nerf revisions? I think that will do more to shake up the format than almost anything. And I've been a big proponent of the idea that nerfing cards is not always the solution. Sometimes buffing helps, or reverting old nerfs. And if certain classes are getting out of control, the solution is not always to nerf them into oblivion. It could be, hey, give patches charge again, or something like that. And so I'm excited to see what they come up with. I think this will potentially shake things up more than ever before. Hey, Secret Mage is out of control. Guess what? Naga Sea Witch is back. I mean, it could be something like that. So we'll see. I mean, we don't know what they're going to be, but this will be very interesting.
I can't wait to see this list, personally. I feel like a whole new deck building challenge in the Wild format could be upon us if we get a giant revision. All these nerfs reverting back. I think this could be really, really cool. We've got just a couple decks that are at the top that, when you're up there in the higher ranks, that you're just seeing over and over and over again. It could turn everything on its head. So I'm happy.
Yeah, Pizza, do you have any thoughts on nerf reversions?
I think it's good to like always kind of have that balance of like constant adjustment. I think it's healthy for the format. Wild is kind of a special place in the sense that it's supposed to be that much more extravagant, right? That's where the best of Hearthstone's like kind of history kind of goes. Again, I don't play Wild as much as you guys, so the specifics I don't think that like are kind of tough. I don't remember patches very fondly, but I do remember drawing them quite a bit. So maybe that's their good justification for giving them charge again. I think making adjustments regularly is what keeps people interested. It's what like makes you think a little bit more, keeps you on your toes.
I like it.
I'm a champion at drawing patches. Okay, my wife will tell you how many times she's heard me go, patches again. Like, I mean, I'd be rich.
That's funny.
Patches is secretly a quest,
Oh, they should add that. Like, if they ever go back and do achievements for older sets, it could be like draw patches 10,000 times. I might have it.
Oh, that's me with Baku. Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, and I think that, maybe patches, maybe Naga, maybe those are extreme examples. I think that there's a lot of other cards that have been, maybe nerfed that didn't need to be quite so much. And long story short, I'm just excited that this would be a pretty nice shakeup for us. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Any other hot takes on this, Mike, before I move on?
Nope, let's keep rolling.
Rock and roll. Okay, so with this core set, right, 265 cards. Here's what we're doing tonight. Especially we got 51 cards that had some kind of change made. Some of them are nerfs, some of them are buffs, some of them are just a little bit different, like reworks. And covering all 51 cards, I think, would not be a good use of our time. As a Wild show predominantly, we spend a lot of time going over the list and looking at which cards affected Wild. And I think in looking at them all, I came up with 8 or 9. So I want to go over those and talk about those real quick, and then we can move over to what everybody's waiting for, is like looking at these new cards. But I think it'd be fun to chat about these real quick. So first up, I've got Bluegill Warrior. So this is your 2-mana Murloc. Previously was a 2/1 with charge, and they buffed it to a 3/1, but they took away charge, and now it's got rush. I saw people earlier complaining about it not having charge anymore, but personally, they've been getting away from charge for such a long time that I'm not surprised. This sort of kills any Finn Paladin a little bit, but you know, the deck wasn't seeing a lot of play anyways, and I understand and sort of sympathize with the people who are upset about this, but I've seen the writing on the wall for so many years at this point that I'm not surprised. I don't know. Pizza, do you have any thoughts on this?
I just don't understand why they couldn't just make a new card. Like it would be a lot easier for them to make just like a different type of Stone Tusk Board and a different type of Bluegill than to like reprint these cards, to like adjust these cards this way, right?
I agree. And actually Ixar mentioned something about that today, because they had asked him specifically about that. I'm going to find the tweet real quick. Mike and Hydra, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, you're right. It's not seeing a lot of play. I personally haven't played any Finn Paladin in a long time, but it made me want to. As soon as I saw the change, I've got fond memories. I mean, of being obviously the person winning with the deck, but it made me a little bit sad, because I agree. I think that we're told, and like obviously Zeddy was the voice of Wild for it, but we're told that Wild is the place to go and play your old decks, and unfortunately something like this changes that. A deck that somebody does want to go back and play, but maybe when everything rotates in a year, they can put this back to the way it was when there's a new core set. We'll see, but like we've been told, there's a whole bunch of reversions happening. Do you have any opinions on poor old Bluegill, Mike?
My take might be weird. So my take is like, I think Ixar should have made a different card, because I don't like that he put himself in the position where people can be like, you said this, but now you're doing that. It just takes away from me like the excitement of this new core set and new cards coming out. It's just like when people focus on like, oh, what's gonna happen in a year? It's like, I just want the attention on the stuff now, like be hyped about it. Obviously, like it has 1 more attack, so that's cool. It doesn't do charge, but it takes away from him saying like, oh, go play your favorite decks in Wild. They say my favorite deck, but I know somebody out there likes that OTK Paladin. But now this gives them and other people who like to complain to the devs, for me, like more license to complain. But maybe there's a card coming that I haven't seen that has charge, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't want him to do stuff that's going to put himself in a bad spot, because then it just adds more negativity to the overall scene, and it's just dumb. Like, this is a fun game. I'm trying to ride this out and have a good time. Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to do this for any other card, but since it came up, I'm just going to read through the exchange real quick, because he kind of explained the thought process behind this one, and I feel like it's interesting. So the tweet from Zeddy, he says, Wild is a place to play your favorite decks of old. That statement's becoming more and more untrue every year, and should not be a reason to more continuously balance the format, especially with the introduction of Classic. Please reconsider your stance on this, Ixar and company. And Ixar's response, he says, as you know, there's rarely one aspect to any decision. In this case, the potential upsides. Don't have multiple versions of the same card in multiple game modes. It's possible that Wild is just more fun without Bluegill and Stone Tusk Boar. Potential downsides. Players that love using those cards won't be able to use them in the same way, and that Wild potentially is just more fun with charge on those 2 cards. In this case, we felt the pros outweighed the cons, but it's not an exact science choice. The answer to did you think about this thing is usually going to be yes. If we were to change, we'd almost certainly just remove the version of Stone Tusk and Bluegill in core and replace them with 2 different cards instead of keeping different versions across 2 modes. And then he says, Boar, Like FYI, Boar has caused more designs to not exist than any other single card I can think of. Some benefit to getting that space back, though it's possible some of those designs would have slipped through if we were just talking about Wild. So I think it's interesting, and there's potential, at least, that they would just replace these two and revert them as they were in Wild. So we'll see. I mean, I think I'm comfortable moving on, but it was interesting to hear the designer insight for these two cards.
That is cool to hear. If he believes that this will help them go down the line, then I didn't have that information, so thank you for saying that. So that's cool.
Yeah, well, and there's one other thing that he had mentioned that I didn't find the tweet for, and I don't want to go searching for it right now, but he had said that it sparked some debate internally on the design team and that not everybody was in agreement on these. And so hypothetically, I could see this maybe changing later. Like, I think they had a discussion. I think he said they had a discussion about it today and was like, oh, wow, you guys are talking about it already? That's pretty interesting. And so we are getting more communication from the dev team than we ever before. And I think that's pretty cool. So anyways, there's a few others in Wild. I think most of them are pretty straightforward. The other one, Draenei Totem Carver, it was a 4-mana 4/4. Battlecry gain +1/+1 for each friendly totem. They've buffed it, so now it's a 4/5. This potentially is a small buff for Even Shaman. Not like barely anybody is playing that deck in quite a while, but this is a small buff, and so I could see this having a small impact. You guys have any hot takes on this?
Well, there's also the hero power adjustment that.
Oh yes,
Shaman as well.
Yes.
So maybe that puts a little bit more emphasis on Shaman.
That's true. That's true. Somebody somewhere is crying in Odd Shaman, but that's again a deck that was not being played very much, and that'll make things interesting. I'm anxious to try it out though and see how it goes. Not initially on my radar was Drain Soul. Do you remember what it was originally? I never played this card to begin with. I feel bad a little bit.
Deal two damage.
It was deal 2 damage. Was it the same mana cost though? Two mana, deal 2. Okay, so they've changed it now. Number one, they've given it its spell class, so this is now a shadow card. But it's now a 2 mana lifesteal, deal 3 damage to a minion. So it's essentially just the same as that priest spell Penance, but for Warlock. So that may be interesting. It's never seen play in Wild before, but it potentially could now. We'll see.
Yeah, it's Penance. You're right.
Yep. Yeah, it's basically Warlock Penance, right? So we'll see.
Yeah.
Here we have.
Makes sense. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. So the next one up is Equality. It's now 3 mana. Change the health of all minions to 1, and they've given it the Holy tag. The only thing in my mind that I could think is that, hey, potentially you could drop a copy of this into Odd Paladin for a board clear if you needed to. I don't know that it's good enough to make the cut. Maybe it's a one of. I don't know.
You're a Paladin.
Hey, there you go. I don't know, but people are running Lord Barov in Odd Paladin sometimes for a board clear, and this does the same thing without the body.
Or the other ability.
Yeah, I mean it's not as good, but it's a similar function. I don't know. But I think if we're seeing a lot of Dark Glare or something like that with big giants everywhere, or giant taunts in Warlock, like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But to be realistic, it's Paladin, it's Wild, so I'll pass to Pizza and Hydra. What do you guys think?
I mean, if you're gonna play one with Lord Barov, like it realistically, there could be a scenario where you would want to play 3, especially like with the amount of giants that are just available. I mean, I like removal.
Yeah, I think that it could definitely be a one of. Odd Paladin's a really good deck right now, and sometimes, especially against Dark Glare, they put up those big giants with Sun Fury Protector or whatever it's called that taunts them all up, and you're kind of hooped. You're stuck.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is your way through. So I like it. I'd definitely give it a shot, at least anyway. And I think in the meta right now, it can be pretty good. So, and Big Priest can be annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably just res everything back the next turn anyway. But for one turn, you can get rid of them.
I'm okay giving it a try. Yeah. Okay, so next up is Fire Elemental. 6 mana, 6/5 Elemental. They changed the battle cry. Previously, the battle cry was deal 3 damage. It's now deal 4 damage. And again, this is something I think when even Shaman first started, people were playing this card, and then it lost favor, and no one's put it in a long time. I've seen it creep back from time to time. But deal 4 damage is not bad. It can clear a handful of things, and it can go face. So, again, potentially, I'm not saying it's good, but I think that it will see some experimenting in even Shaman. Any thoughts, Pizza?
I think 1 damage is pretty huge for something like Fire Elemental. The body itself, like that you get, is like substantial. 6 mana, 6/5s are pretty good if Hunter remembers correctly, but like being able to deal 4 and getting that reach, particularly to face, I think is important.
Yeah. It's kind of reminds me more of like a Firelands portal at this point. 1 damage shy, but it's dealing a lot more damage and putting a guaranteed size body. You're not guessing on what you're getting out of it. So I think it's a good card. I mean, I don't know if it's going to see tons of play, but it's definitely better.
Mike,
Yeah,
any
real
thoughts?
quick. I don't play a lot of Shaman, but I've been in a lot of scenarios where I have survived and lost by 1 point. So like how Pete's pointed out that 1 damage is a big factor. So I think for the people who will play this card, maybe they'll see where it'll help out. But yeah, going from 3 to 4, I think is a big jump where a lot of minions, have 4 health. You can't target or you can't kill with that 3. So I like it for them, for Shaman players.
Yeah. All right, next up is a change to Lakari Fellhound. Stats have stayed the same, so it's a 4 mana 3/8 demon with taunt. Battle cry has changed. It previously said discard 2 random cards, and now it's been changed to discard your 2 lowest cost cards. And I think this is interesting, and I think that this is pretty good for discard Warlock because it makes playing this so much more predictable. And I'm not quite sure without playtesting it, but for me personally, when I have more control over what I'm discarding, I like that better than random. Now I'm not worried about discarding my Doomguard. I can discard my Fist of Jaraxxus or my Silverware Golem or something like that. And so, it depends. It depends. I think it's definitely a buff, and I like it. I'm curious to see how it will play out. I hit Legend with discard Warlock once, and I think that was kind of enough for me. It's not really my preferred playstyle, but I enjoy the deck. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm curious to kind of test play this, and I don't really know personally how it's going to shake out without trying it, but I think it seems pretty interesting. What do you think, Pizza?
I think in theory it's probably like fine to have control over what you want to discard. It's a little bit awkward because like ideally the lowest thing that you would have, like you would go Melkazar's Imp or like Flame Imp and stuff, and then ideally you would go Fellhound into like Silverware Golem, but not being able to like cycle into the Hand of Gul'dan I think is huge. Even if it's like not the type of thing that you have control over, like a lot of the time if you don't have Imp into Fellhound, like you don't really feel as comfortable playing it as often. I feel like being able to just like randomly get off of hand is generally going to be your priority in the early game now.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'd be concerned about too is you're gonna toss away Soulfire a bunch, get rid of your reach. So that one's gonna be a bit of a bummer. So I see that as a downside. You got any thoughts on that, Mike?
I didn't think about that until you just said about Soulfire. Soulfire is a dope card. I love getting lethal with Soulfire. So you're right. Yeah, I think that's the only downside would be getting rid of Soulfire. So like, how do you play around that? Because if you play Soulfire, you might hit this card. So yeah.
It's definitely interesting because sometimes you want to discard. Yeah, sometimes you want to discard the lowest card. Sometimes you want to discard the highest card, and so this makes your turns a little bit awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But I still see it as a buff.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up is kind of an exciting one for me. Lord Jaraxxus. They're changing. Previously, it was kind of weird. I mean, this was way back. This is arguably like the first hero card, right? Where this changed your hero from the Warlock and now you're Lord Jaraxxus. But in your collection, it was a demon. It brought you down to 15 health. And so this has been changed now to just a straight up hero card. 9 mana, you get 5 armor. Battlecry equipped a 3/8 weapon, which it previously did. And your hero power remains the same. So for 2 mana, you're summoning a 6/6 demon. And so I think this is a huge buff to the card. Now you get all of the upside without the downside. I think the reason I always strayed away from this was because I didn't want to go down to 15 health.
Mm-hmm.
So this is exciting. And tons of flavor on Lord Jaraxxus. What do you think about this, Pizza?
I think this is very long overdue. Like, for the longest time, a lot of people's favorite card has been Jaraxxus, and like you said, the fact that they like have to go to 15 and put themselves really vulnerable is always been kind of the downside. It's a good thing that people get the option to play it. I kind of expected for a few more adjustments, and I think that there was a conversation that I can't find anymore where people were talking about like what those adjustments would be, about like whether or not it would be like 8 mana so you can activate but with smaller infernos. But like it's still pretty swingy. I think it's pretty expensive, so I don't really know like what in Wild it would go in. I suppose probably Cube if anything. But like I just like the idea that people get to play Jaraxxus. It feels like this was very long overdue.
Yeah, I mean I agree. As a primarily a Warlock player, like I feel bad for saying this. I don't really know what deck I play this in. I mean, because I've already got Blood Reaver Gul'dan, but especially from a more budget friendly perspective, like this is a cool card. You get some armor, you generate a weapon, you are generating 6/6 minions for 2 mana every turn, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this is pretty cool. I'm not quite sure if I would slot this into Reno Lock or Cube Lock or something like that, but I definitely am interested in trying to play with it. Mike, what do you think about this?
I think it's very cool. I think people will have a great time building new decks and trying different ideas out and playing this card as a hero card. Like Pizza said, this is long overdue. Yo, the dude who introduced me to Hearthstone played this card and was like, yo, this card is awesome. And like after a long time, they made the spell that can kill demons. So it's just kind of like pointless to play this card. But I'm glad that they showed the respect to Jaraxxus and gave him a new form to be playable. Feels good. Feels like it's like a feel-good story. Kind of like when Pokemon does something good for Charizard. Like I feel good for Jaraxxus. Like, you know what I'm saying? They hooked him up, man. He deserves it. Give him some shine. I'm excited.
That's funny.
This one really got me. I was really shocked when I saw this. I was like, this is cool. Overdue, but it's cool.
Any thoughts, Hydra?
I'm just happy to be able to play the card again. Like in Wild, it was so difficult to be able to play it at that 15 health when you put yourself just in the burn range. And now you can play it at a different opportune time and just start making those 6/6s. Hey, maybe you want to be super greedy, Nate, and after you've Blood Reaver Gul'dan and you've brought your whole board back, maybe you can turn it to Jaraxxus later and you can start dropping 6/6s.
Oh my god, super greedy. That's funny though.
Why not? Like just for fun. I'm not saying it would be the most competitive.
Oh no, yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty funny. I'm excited to try it out.
Because they clear your board. Usually they're waiting because they know you've got Gul'dan. They know you've got N'Zoth, right? So they're just waiting. They're waiting. You do both those, and they're like, oh, okay, I got you. We cleared everything. And then suddenly you face Jaraxxus. Chopping those 6/6s.
I like it.
Inferno!
He's got my favorite voice lines in the whole game, hands down.
Yep.
All right, so 2 more that were changed that I want to cover. The next one is tracking. So before, and I've seen arguments on Twitter for the last 2 days, and I don't want to dig into that. There's definitely a change here, and some people think it's good, and some people think it's bad. But tracking is now different. Before tracking, you got to see 3 cards. You choose one, you discard the other 2. Tracking is now different. Discover a card from your deck. And so the difference is the other 2 cards go back in your deck. I've seen some people complaining about it. I've seen some people really excited about it. And we could spend an entire show arguing the upsides and the downsides to this, but I'm looking for hot takes. So
yeah, not on this show. This is Wild. Like no one plays Hunter in Wild, so this should be the fastest review part of the show.
Yeah, I think I mean, the argument, right, is it's very, very briefly is that for super aggressive decks, I play tracking to get the answer that I'm looking for, and the other two cards I didn't want anyways, and I'm just trying to win quickly. But the counter side to that argument is then in a longer, more control-oriented game, if I'm playing Zul'jin, or if I'm playing N'Zoth, or if I'm playing some kind of more control matchup, like, hey, I don't want to discard this. If it shows me my 3 and one's Reno Jackson and one's Deathstalker Rexar, like, I don't want to discard one of those. And so, and then the flip side, then you have the original people saying, well, you shouldn't be playing that deck anyways, or that's not how you win. And like, I don't even want to go down that road, but I think personally I am a fan of this change. What do you think, Pizza? Do you have any thoughts on this card?
Tons, but I'll try to keep it brief. I think I agree. This is like one of the things that like is very, very contestable, and it has been since like the very beginning of Hearthstone when tracking was a thing. The concept of like seeing 3 cards and then having them go away is tough for people, right? Players don't want to lose cards. Like, you put them in your deck because you wanted to play them, but the concept of like being able to cycle through your deck, I think, is like where a lot of people kind of get hung up. You're not playing with 3 individual cards. You're playing with a deck. You're playing with a game plan. And I think that that's like kind of what tracking represents. And I think that's why a lot of players kind of like it, is because getting that decision, being able to use what could be perceived as a drawback in losing those cards, and instead turning it into something like cycling, or turning it into something like discarding bombs out of your deck. I think that that's a very fun kind of concept. But on the opposite end of things, I think that the core set isn't really supposed to be something like that. It's not really supposed to be like this grand kind of play. It's supposed to introduce players into what is Hearthstone. And like, well, what is Hearthstone? You're supposed to like have a spell. It's supposed to teach you how to get to hunter spells. You're supposed to cast those hunter spells. So if I'm a newer player and I really need to understand like what hunter is supposed to be, putting myself into that position might be a little bit detrimental. And I think that that's something that they wanted to kind of eliminate and just sort of simplify.
There is a feels bad that kind of comes with playing tracking as a new player.
Yeah. I think what people haven't really talked about is that this is the first time that we're seeing Discover in like that core set, which means that like, it's kind of official that they're going to be, it's kind of officially is an evergreen keyword. It's been in every single set, but like now there's like literally zero chance that it's going to eventually cycle out, which I kind of never really expected, but kind of hoped.
Good point of view. Yeah.
I don't know. Tracking's a super interesting card, and it really doesn't it really doesn't even look like it but it's been discussed time and time again. I like kind of love the card, but
I will agree, and I think that I guess I should just let it drop. But I think I liked what you said about the core set being for newer players, and they're giving it away for free. And I remember many moons ago when I first started, you would play tracking and be like, well, I don't want to discard these 2 cards. That feels bad. And then years later, as a more developed player, I understand. I want the answer. Like, you have to play tracking at the right time, and you're looking for an answer. And those other 2 cards, you weren't going to play them anyways. Like, I fully understand it, but it took years of playing to get that concept. And so I can see for newer players why that would not be as intuitive. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It takes a lot of turn 1 trackings to get to that point. Right?
Been there, done that many times, unfortunately. Hydra, any thoughts on this?
No. I just think that, like, we got Ben from work. He's calling it unplayable in chat here. But that's the Ben from work hot take, right? Like N'Zoth. But I like it for like the new players, like Pizza said. I always had the feels bad moment where it's like, well, I don't want to get rid of my Savannah High Main or whatever when I was a newer player. Like, I don't want to get rid of that card. But the idea was always we don't want to have to get to the turn where we're playing Savannah High, man. We're smorking them down right now. So it was a good card before. I still think it's a good card now. It's just different. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Mike?
So real quick, when I was going for my 500 gold hunter and then 1K, I did use tracking to find lethal, but for this terms of like reviewing this card in a wild perspective, there's Reno Hunter, there's Even Hunter, there's Odd Hunter, and it's not played that much. I do respect the views that Pizza has and the idea of the conversation for tracking overall. I do respect that idea, but I was just being more realistic of playing wild all the time when I shouldn't, but I do. But it's like you rarely see hunters, and then you rarely see them play a card like that. I was just trying to keep it wild. Like it is sad to see the idea of playing tracking and like like you're looking for a certain card, you might get that card or a different card. 2 cards get removed from the deck, which puts you closer towards Kill Command or Arcane Shot. But this is me pulling memory back from how long ago. You know what I'm saying? Like when I used to play Hunter all the time, but it's been a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to try it and see how it goes, I guess. All right, there's one last card that I wanted to touch on, and I think touching on 9 cards out of 51 is pretty good for us. So the last one up is Warhorse Trainer. They've buffed the card now. I believe it was a 3-mana 2/4. Silverhand recruits have +1 attack, and they've buffed it now to a 3-mana 3/4. And so clearly, like, this is just a buff for Odd Paladin. I don't have anything else to say. Like, the card is good. Mm-hmm. It was already seeing play. Now it's just better. Like, that's it.
Yep, 100% agree. I don't see any downside to this. So
I don't, not quite sure why they did it. I don't really think it needed a buff, but I mean, it was already in my deck and now it's staying. So whatever.
I mean, there's not in standard the ability to summon as many Silverhand recruits as there is in Wild. So maybe they just wanted to make doing that a little bit better by giving an extra attack to a horse trainer.
Yo, Pizza, was this card ever on your radar, and do you think this change makes a change?
In as far as like cards to buff or to include?
Sorry, say it again.
As far as like cards to buff or include in the core set?
Oh, like the Warhorse Trainer. Like, was this ever like on your radar? Do you think like this change to this card like matters? Like,
I think that, like we talked about before with the core set, like being able to set up for the future of Hearthstone. I mean, it kind of alludes to more cards to buff up Silverhand recruits. Now in standard and future sets, they already have the 5/5 legendary whose name escapes me. They probably want that card to see a little bit more play as a result. Maybe they'll post some more Paladin support as a result. Try to shift things away from Librams.
Okay. Oh, so like, is your viewpoint like? Sorry if I'm late to the party. I'm always late to every party. Is your viewpoint more like whatever we see in this core set is like what they're gonna like kind of like base the game around going forward, and they're gonna have like more space to create discover cards and more Silverhand for Paladins? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we kind of glossed over in the Bluegill conversation, but the fact that there are like cards like Bluegill Warrior that remain, although adjusted, means that there's probably going to have to be support, right? There's only 5 Murlocs, but there's still Cold Light Seer, there's still Bluegill as a rush minion now instead. I mean, there has to be some sort of like additional card printed to justify this being there in the first place. You're not just going to hero power and then slam a Warhorse Trainer, right? So we kind of have to see what Barons brings to us, and then we'll see with the other sets and see if this gets better as a result.
Yeah. It's also got Spider Tank stats, so that was always good, right?
Oh yeah, Spider Tank. All
right, you guys. So that is it for the changed cards. So now we've got the cards that are brand new set. So these will be interesting, and I think not going with our traditional scoring guidelines, but looking more for kind of hot takes on these cards. Do we think they're going to be good or bad? I think a lot of them will take play testing before we really know for sure, but I'm interested to see kind of what everybody thinks. So I've got them in order that they are by class and mana cost. So first up, we start with Demon Hunter. So the first up is Corvus Bloodthorn. It is a 2-mana 2/2 legendary minion with charge and lifesteal. After you play a card with Outcast, return this to your hand. Seems like to at least me, quick hot take. I think you could potentially play it in Wild if you're going with a really low statted aggressive deck. I know some people early on were playing a pirate package with glide and stuff like that. I think mostly in Wild we're looking at odd Demon Hunter, so this doesn't fit into that obviously. But the idea that they printed another charge card, particularly a charge card with lifesteal, there's definitely some potential. Because of the outcast, return it to your hand. You can play charge lifesteal more than one time in one turn, and so this potentially can fit into some kind of OTK Demon Hunter. I'm really curious to get Ben from Works' hot take on this later. I think there's some potential here, and I think that the card design is very interesting. Pizza, what are your thoughts on this card?
Yeah, I agree. The card design looks like it's poised for a lot of potential. Seems like you can do it quite a few times. I just don't see how. I don't see what outcast card I'm going to want to play where I'm also getting this in, or how I'm supposed to exploit it to kind of get to that big swing turn the same way that I would with other Demon Hunter kind of combos that exist. It's kind of tough because most of the time you're, even if you discount Corvus the first turn, it's going to be bounced back, and then you're just going to have to cast it for 2 again, right? So where is this mana coming from? Where are these cards coming from?
Yeah, and I'm curious. I mean, maybe we'll see some cards from Barons that, do something. But like you said, because it bounces back to your hand, you don't want to be adding buffs to it because then they're gone when the card comes back to your hand. So I don't know. I mean, I think that there's some combo potential here. Not quite sure what it is yet, though. Hydra, any thoughts?
Yeah, they kind of ruined it for me. Pizza. That's a really good point.
I'm sorry.
Let's get some Thorson ticks on it, and let's just keep smacking them in the face over and over again. But I mean, you could. There's definitely potential. Maybe there's stuff on board that's buffing your minions that are on the board, sort of thing, like raid leader sort of action. I don't know, something that's giving your onboard minions a buff. As long as it doesn't say "Hey loser," I'm okay with it. That's all. Coming from a guy that's been playing a deck with Pen and Flinger in it, it annoys me even when I play it. But
that's pretty funny.
What about you, Mike? What do you think?
I think it's cool that it has charge, since they just took charge away from everything. So that's got to be sweet. Yeah, there's got to be a way to give minions attack, boost your weapon up, go face, play Kane, a whole bunch of combos. When I say combos, I mean cards played in succession. But I think it's a cool card overall. I think it's pretty sweet. Charge, lifesteal. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited for all these new cards. New card season for me is like Christmas, yo. I'm excited.
Yeah, I like it too. There was a question about, hey, if you somehow discount this card, whether it's discounted Outcast or whether it's Emperor Thorson Tick, once you play it, when it returns to your hand, it will no longer be discounted. It'll be back to its original cost. That's how these cards work. So you're only going to get that bonus once. All right, next up is Ganarg Glavesmith. This is a 3-mana 3/2 demon with Outcast. Give your hero +3 attack this turn. I kind of like this. I mean, early hot take for Odd Demon Hunter seems pretty good. I mean, the deck generally is very aggressively, it's an aggressive deck, and this is aggressively statted. And, I don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure it's good enough, but it's an aggressive card, and that's what Demon Hunter looks to do. So I think it's potentially okay. I'm hardly the Demon Hunter expert with my 150 wins, so I'm just going to pass it over to Pizza.
Yeah, I like this card too. I mean, it's very simple. You outcast it, you get an attack, you get a body. It's got a demon tag. I mean, the card's kind of just solid. Just just a strong card. Shows up to work and does his job every morning.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hydra, what do you think?
Yeah, I think worst case scenario, it's a Bloodfen Raptor, right? So you play it for tempo if it's not outcast. If it is outcast, awesome. Now you can with Demon Hunter, you don't, even if you don't have a weapon, you can clear whatever's in the way, or you could just keep smacking face like you love to do in Demon Hunter. So I think it's a solid card. It's got that number 3 on it. It's odd, so I'm definitely going to give it a shot, especially since I only have 42 Demon Hunter wins because I've never played the darn class. So I need to get some golden Demon Hunter cards apparently with this core set. So I guess I'm going to play Demon Hunter and I'm going to give this a try. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, so like most Demon Hunter decks, you want to go fast, him in the face. This is very easily put on the left or right side of your hand to get that +3 attack. If you really want to go face, you'll make sure you do it. I think it's cool. I'm really excited. We got a lot of cards to get to, and I really want to hear Pizza's opinion on a lot of these because I talk a lot. I talk a lot here. I got my own stream, so I want to hear what Pizza says. So let's get to the next one.
I like it. All right, next one up is the final Demon Hunter new card. It's called Illidari Inquisitor. It's an 8-mana 8/8 demon with Rush. After your hero attacks an enemy, this attacks it too. I think this is really interesting because they were hinting early on about a more control style or like a big Demon Hunter, and the damage potential for this is pretty crazy. So I mean it still costs 8, so that's a thing, and in Wild it's probably just too slow. But hear me out for 2 seconds, right? An 8-mana, like an 8 attack Rush, and then your hero attacks, and then this attacks again, and so. And this, what it says is after your hero attacks an enemy, this attacks it too, so it targets the same thing. And so potentially on 9, right? I drop this, hit, clear their board of a minion, attack face, and then this attacks face for 8. Like, dude, that's pretty crazy. I think there's potential here. I don't know what the heck deck it goes in Wild. In fact, it's probably too slow. And maybe someone like Wildcard who plays like a Reno Demon Hunter or a big Demon Hunter can make it work. But the ability, I think, is incredibly strong. Pizza, what are your thoughts on this?
It's definitely... I really definitely think that it's too expensive for Wild, but I guess from a design standpoint, the card looks really, really interesting. I mean, it's a demon, so there are tons of ways within the Demon Hunter class to kind of exploit it. There's Skull of Gul'dan, there's the 4-mana card that discounts a demon. There are a lot of ways to activate its ability and to be able to go off. It has Rush itself, so it protects itself. It's a super interesting card. It's really, really impactful, and I kind of hope that you see it a lot in Standard, but I really don't think that it's going to see as much application, if any, in Wild.
Yeah, it's definitely very slow. I think what Demon Hunter needs in Wild anyways is a Void Caller. Otherwise it's just way too slow.
Yeah.
Hydra, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the direction I was gonna lean, Nate. If there's a way to get it out of your hand without paying the 8 mana for it, Demon Hunter doesn't want to see turn 8 in Wild. So I think this is way too slow. Maybe once we get a way to cheat it out, or down the road, a couple years down the road, when there's more Demon Hunter sets, and this can go in a Reno deck, but I don't think it's going to see any play right now.
I will say when your opponent drops this on the board, you're going to be sad 100% of the time. Right? Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
I think it's a fantastic ability. I like scenarios where if you have True Aim Crescent, could attack, this pops it. And then also there are plenty of games where there are players who don't go anywhere near Legend or Diamond. So this could be a pretty cool card. You're in a scenario where you're in a top deck war, and then boom, you top deck this. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty cool. I like the ability overall. I think it's cool.
Nice. All right, well, that's it for new Demon Hunter cards. Next up is Druid. There's only one new card. This is called Nordrasil Druid. It's a 4-mana 3/5 with a battle cry. The next spell you cast this turn costs 3 less. Seems interesting to me, especially when we... Sorry, yeah, especially when we've seen recent cards like Solar Eclipse that are very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
There's potential here. I mean, I don't play a lot of Druid, so I don't feel like I'm all that qualified to talk on this card. I think the ability is potentially pretty powerful, although in Wild, I'm not quite sure what deck this goes in. So I don't know. For me, this is on a watch list, but I don't really see it going in anything, but I'm cautiously optimistic. What do you think, Pizza?
It doesn't really the problem is it doesn't really do anything, right? You would have to replace a card in a pre-existing deck to kind of get this to like where it is. The only real wild deck that I know is the Infinite like armor deck. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. In line cracker.
Line cracker
Yes,
druid.
yeah, and like I guess like the bodies were already kind of occupied with the taunts, so like being able to replace a slot just for a 4-mana 3/5, like it just doesn't really seem like it does enough to get you to like start moving towards your end game. It just sort of seems like a body, and you already kind of have that.
I do want to touch on one thing that you said really quick, and what we often have to ask ourselves in Wild in particular is we've got all these decks that are really refined, and so this has to be good enough for us to remove something from our existing deck and put this in. And so the question is it good enough to replace something, or does it create some new archetype? And I think, unfortunately, the answer with this is probably no. But I don't know. Hydra, any thoughts?
I mean, in a vacuum, it sounds kind of neat, as pointed out in chat, that it's technically, if you have a card to play it with, it can be like a 1-mana 3/5, but it's not like you're actually playing that on turn one. It's something that you're doing later. So it sounds cool. I don't think it's slotting into any deck anytime soon, but hey, there's some amazing deck builders out there. So something broken could happen one day. I don't think it's going anywhere right now. I don't like it personally. Mike, what do you think?
You're muted.
You're muted, Mike.
Of course, rookie mistake. First day on the show. I think this is a win for Druid players. If not every other day, every 2-3 days, I run into a handful of players who are playing this deck. I thought it was a joke, but if you're not ready for it, it destroys you. Clown Druid. So I like this card. We do wild reviews. You got to slot one in, slot one out. I think this card easily could replace the 5 slot in Anubis Sath Defender. Having a spell discounted by 3 in this deck, I think is pretty strong, like very, very, very strong. Looking at cards like Overflow and Survival of the Fittest, I think it's awesome. But that's my small take. I don't want to take too much time.
My only concern is that it doesn't say your next spell. I think if it said your next spell costs 3 less, it would be amazing, like broken almost. But it says it costs your next spell this turn costs 3 less. And so you really have to be able to math it up the right way. And so it becomes a little bit more difficult to play.
No, there's 2 Lightning Blooms in this deck. I don't think that's difficult whatsoever.
Yeah, I guess you would have to play... I've talked about rookie mistake. I've made that before where you play something like this or your Solar Eclipse and then you play your Lightning Bloom. I'm like, oh, oops.
You hit Lunar Eclipse. You hit this Lightning Bloom over here.
Yeah.
No, hear me out, because this actually works. Normally I wouldn't take the time, but I think this is actually good. So this card can replace Anubis Sath Defender because your next spell will cost 3 less. So there are turns where you can set up your Lightning Bloom in this card, and you can play Survival of the Fittest for 7 with that extra mana from Lightning Bloom. And like from that point out, like it's really hard to come back. I only say it from like coming across this deck. And I'm just like, oh, this will be easy. Like wipe out their clowns. And then they pop that Survival of the Fittest when they pull back. What's the new old god? Yasharj? How do you pronounce it? Excuse me, I don't know how to pronounce it right. But he brings it back corrupted. And I just say it because I've seen the combo over and over played consistently. So it's not just like a fringe idea like Mizaki, but like seeing this work over and over.
I guess the question becomes like, do you want to put yourself into that type of position where like you have to chain these cards together over the simplicity of Anubis Sath Defender? Like, it's a lot simpler to just go Overflow into Defender or Survival into Defender than it is to like be like, okay, I have a Nordrasil. Now I have to find like X card, X spell, and so on and so forth. Like, it's a lot more effort than is really necessary, I think.
Good point. Yeah, that's where you guys coming from. Good, more effort. You're right. I just see. Hey, I'm down here like Diamond, so.
That's what the Diamond 5 and 10 floors for, man.
That's funny.
All the fun stuff.
Hydra, any thoughts before we move on?
No, I'm good.
All right, next up is the Hunter class. There's only one new card. This card is called Selective Breeder. It's a 2-mana 1/1. Battlecry, discover a copy of a beast in your deck. I think this is interesting. I think it's kind of slow for Hunter as a 2-mana 1/1, but the battle cry, discover a copy of the beast in your deck, could be right in the right deck. I'm not a big Hunter player, and so I'm a little bit skeptical of this. I think it's a little bit slow, but the discover mechanic is pretty strong when it's a copy of a beast in your deck. So it's definitely a build around. I think in the right deck it could be powerful, but it still feels a little bit slow to me. If it was a 1-mana 1/1 with this, I think it'd be like super good. But I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. Again, I don't think I'll be really playing it, but I think in the right deck, like, hey, discover that King Crusher that you're looking for would be kind of cool. What do you think, Pizza?
Yeah, it's a bit expensive. A 2-mana 1/1 that generates a copy of a thing, it doesn't defend very well. I think if it defended the board a little bit better, then perhaps like you would be able to like build some sort of scenario. But the biggest positive that I've heard in talking about this is like setting up some big combo play, but like I'm just not seeing it. You're just very likely to get run over if you try to do this into some beast.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like tutors are really, really nice. They usually are great cards. To me reminds me of Stitch Tracker, but this is specifically for beasts. Like with Stitch Tracker, you get to find your
whatever you want. Yeah.
Right. So now you're limited to a beast. So until they give me a beast that slots into a Highlander deck, I don't know, like something like that you want maybe a second copy of that's now in your hand. I mean, that could be cool, but
I'd rather play Stitch Tracker.
Yeah, exactly. This just seems like a worse Stitch Tracker to me.
That's a Slizzle review right there. What do you think, Mike?
Hunter card. I wish it was 1 mana. If it was 1 mana, cool, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Mage then. Mage got 1 card. Why Mage got a legendary card and all of the other classes did not quite make out so well, I don't know. This card seems pretty cool. It's called Agewind the Guardian. It's a 5-mana 5/5 legendary with spell damage +2 and a death rattle. The next minion you draw inherits these powers. Like, first off, yes, from a design space perspective, like, this is something that they haven't done before, like this combination of things. And it just seems really cool to me. I mean, the idea of it. I'm not quite sure where it fits in.
What about the weapon, the paladin weapon, Vulcaneer?
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. It's similar to that in that it gives a thing the death rattle like this. I like it. I think from a class identity perspective, spell damage in Mage is definitely a thing. And this is very interesting. I'm not quite sure where it fits in, but the card seems good. Like, I don't really see any downside to it. I think that in the core set, especially from a standard perspective, they pulled Archmage Antonidas, and so this replaces that, I suppose. I like the card. I struggle a little bit to figure out what the heck I play it in Wild. I mean, you could put it in Odd Mage if you're playing that, which nobody really is, but maybe in some kind of Reno deck. I don't know. I mean, the card definitely doesn't seem bad to me. I don't see any real downside to it. It seems kind of cool. I just struggle with where to put it. What do you think about this, Pizza?
To start with, I really like the card. I think that it's really powerful. I think the wording on it is absolutely horrible, and everybody yesterday was like super confused about like the words "these powers."
It is confusing. Yes, I agree.
To clarify, like it gets all of the abilities of the future minions as well, and I think that that's like the really big part about it is that this card now scales, right? So if you draw into a loot hoarder with the death rattle, now suddenly the ability is death rattle, draw a card, and then whatever ability that you want outside of it, right? And that keeps like growing and growing. I think that cards like that probably are the type of thing that can like create some sort of potential to create a different type of archetype. Like you said, maybe Reno can just have this in it, and then it can just sort of scale that spell damage into whatever other minions are available. But I like the idea of it. You know, it seems like a pretty fair card. A 5-mana 5/5 that protects itself theoretically and has spell damage. Not bad. I mean, it just sort of does stuff, right? And it's up to you as a player to kind of figure out what that stuff is.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. For the whole odd mage thing doesn't seem super viable. It's not a really viable deck a lot of people are playing. I mean, you can try it, but it doesn't seem like a good idea to me. With spell damage, I mean, unfortunately, odd mage, their burn spells are even cost cards, right? So that's not the best. So I don't know. I don't see a home for it at the moment, but yeah, maybe a Reno deck, maybe. Hey, we never know. Maybe there will be some odd cost burn spells one day, but I don't see this card getting any play anytime soon. What do you think about it, Mike?
I really like the idea of it. Like, it looks cool. Here I go. I'm about to say it. Sorry. The artwork is amazing.
Just wait till we see it in golden. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool idea. This will be beautiful when we have a custom series, something. But on ladder, do what Pizza said. Just play cards that don't. It's not confusing. Just be real simple and just win. Yeah. The word. I don't like the wording. He's right. It does bother me. I didn't think about it before. So how do you pronounce this? Is it Agewin? Egwin?
Agewin, I believe. There's definitely, we'll talk to Goliath later. There's definitely a lot of lore with this card.
Okay. All right, cool. So all right, after this Guardian card, we're moving into Paladin. Yo, Pure Paladin, stand up. I'm excited for this. These cards are really bad, but I can't wait. So this first one here is Reckoning. Wait for it to pop up on my screen here. We're working in tandem. Excited for this. I think one's a secret, one's not a secret.
Yeah, this is a secret. 1 mana secret. It does have the holy tag on it, so that's new. 1 mana secret. After an enemy minion deals 3 or more damage, destroy it. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was waiting for it to pop up on my screen. I apologize. Yeah. No, it looks really cool. I would love to discover this off of Hydralogist. Other cards that give me secrets like Desperate Measures. I'm thinking in my really small Pure Paladin world, how cool this would be to find. I like this secret for what it is. I don't think this would be a card I would add as a main, but you know, when you discover random Paladin secrets, this could be a cool one.
Let me
Pizza. What you think?
Excuse me? Oh, I think that it's pretty interesting. I mean, deal 3 damage means that even if it trades, the potential minion will wind up being killed. Cards like Alexstrasza that have come into play effects will also like be significantly like more difficult to play into cards like this. I think that secrets in general are kind of easy to play around, but you still have to respect them, and I think that that's the important part about the whole process. The fact that Paladin has something like this available to it means that you're going to like wind up in a lot of different scenarios where they can randomly generate a secret. But traditionally, it's always been kind of difficult for Paladins to main those types of secrets unless there's some sort of mysterious challenger running around.
So the hot take on this card is that it destroys Spawn of Shadows in Reno Priest. So, I mean, you have to have the perfect storm, right? You've got this secret up, they play Spawn and go to combo off. As soon as Spawn does 4 damage, bam, it's dead. And so that's a really interesting interaction. I don't know how realistic it is to expect to pull that off. But for people who are consistently saying Chain Raza or Reno Priest is OP, then this is I guess, a potential roundabout solution.
Yeah, as long as they don't already have a minion on the board that can deal the 3 damage first.
I think for me, the difficult piece is going to be remembering to test for this particular secret.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I do appreciate about it is I love when they add secrets to the game, whether they're good or not, just because it adds something else to play around.
Yeah,
Like
it's pretty cool.
for me, it's just interesting because, like, you know, when you're playing against Secret Mage, which we all do very, very often, and somebody's running Potion to Polymorph, and you're like, really? Right? Like something that you didn't expect. So, I mean, that's where I like this. I like this. It's not seeing play a lot, but the one time that you expect that they're going to be playing any other secret, and then this procs because you were going to. I mean, see, the one thing that I don't like about it, I guess, is you're allowed to deal the damage first. So this isn't going to stop like a Leroy Jenkins, right? Like, you're still going to get your Leroy lethal. So you're kind of hooped there. It's because it procs after. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's the best card in the world, but
where I think this gets interesting is where we've got. It's whether or not it's cumulative damage. So take, for example, a Flak Mage or a Flame Waker that's like pinging off one damage. Like, does that count? Like when it gets to 6, is it dead now? Or Flak Mage, hey, what if it, it deals 2 and then 2 more and then 2 more, now it's dead? And it doesn't say, it just says damage. So is it damage to a minion? Is it damage to the hero? Like, I don't know. I just think that this is interesting.
No,
I mean,
hero.
It just says deal 3 or more damage. So this is interesting.
I think goes off when you have a couple minions on the board, Flak Mage is already going to deal over 3 damage to those minions.
That's true. Oh, that's true.
So if you have just 2 on board, 2 minions on board, and then they play secret after the Flak Mage, according to the text,
that would be 4 damage, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 4. That's 4 damage.
This will be interesting. I think it's probably, I think it's probably 3 or more damage in one turn. Like, it's not going to tally over multiple turns, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't think we should spend too much time on it, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Okay. We have Pursuit of Justice, which is next. So this is a 2 mana paladin spell. Reads, give 1 attack to Silverhand recruits you summon this game. So this kind of has like the Lothraxian effect, where like Lothraxian, after you've played that, now you get Divine Shield on all of your Silverhand recruits. This, same thing, you play this, and for the entire game afterwards, you're getting the +1 attack. So, I mean, if even Paladin's ever a thing again, hey, they said they're going to revert a bunch of nerfs. What do we think about Call to Arms, right? Never know. So Call to Arms, that would be amazing. That comes back. Your Silverhand recruits are now better. Could see play in that deck if we get a reversion on that. Pizza, what do you think about this card?
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to I'm really looking forward to seeing how the nerf reversions kind of go to really like reevaluate most of these newer cards. I mean, the whole key is to have Odd Paladin generating a bunch of dudes and then being able to like build on that. This obviously doesn't do that because it's not odd. But I mean, in your Paladin plan, if you're going to make a bunch of Silverhand recruits, you would want them to be as big as possible, right? It just doesn't do that, and that's kind of disappointing.
Mm-hmm. And it's also kind of one of those 2 mana do nothing sort of spells. Like,
yeah, I want to be hero powering, right?
Yeah, you're taking turn 2 off to do this, losing tempo to do this, hopefully gaining it back afterwards.
Yeah, I have no real thoughts on this. I play a lot of Odd Paladin, and this doesn't do anything in that. I think in Even Paladin, it's not really a deck, but we'll see depending on nerf reversions. But I don't know. I don't really see it, but I think it's an interesting effect. Someone mentioned that you could add 2 in one deck, which would be potentially interesting, but I think it's a 2 mana lose tempo. Mike, what do you think?
I love Paladin. It's my favorite class like since the start of this game, and like it makes me sad to see this. Like, I wish this was like attached to a body and maybe a legendary, so you only have 1. But just as a spell, like, I'm not putting this in any Paladin deck I play ever anywhere.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving on then. Next up is we move into the priest class. We've got Crimson Clergy. This is a 1 mana 1/3. After a friendly character is healed, gain +1 attack. So this is one of those new cards where they're talking about class identity. They had mentioned that every class was going to have a 1-cost minion that was a little bit overstated that would go towards the class identity. And so this definitely is that for Priest. That being said, I don't think that this really fits into Wild at all unless I was playing, I mean, maybe Combo Priest or maybe Spiteful Summoner Priest. Then I would run this as a 1-drop. It's definitely good stats, but I don't see it existing in the current meta as it exists right now. What are your thoughts, Pizza?
I agree. I miss being able to play Spiteful Priest in Standard. I think it would have fit really well into that. I mean, the big comparison I think for Priest cards is this to Northshire Cleric, and cards are not really like. I mean, +1 attack does not really compare in the same capacity that cards would for something like that. It's probably fine in Standard constructed, but in Wild it just gets outclassed really easily by lots of cards.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask, right? Would you rather draw a card or gain 1 attack? And 100% of the time, I'd rather draw the card, right?
Yeah.
Hydra, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like a worse mana worm for Priest. It's back to 1 mana, which is sweet. I think the only thing I really got to say about this guy's representing Canada. Like, take a look at that. It's like he's wearing a jersey for Team Canada, and he's got the flag in the background. Like, this guy's ready to go.
I like it. Mike, what do you think?
Yo, he is repping Team Canada. That's pretty dope. Is there a card? Maybe you guys said. I'm sorry, I was answering someone on Discord. Is there a card like this that already heals +1 attack? It's like a 1/2 or something.
There's one. There's a 2. I believe it's a 2/2.
Light Warden
that at the end of the turn adds an attack to a minion that we used to play in Spiteful
Priest.
Priest. There's
Isn't there like a
Light Warden.
Light Warden.
Light Warden, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Light Warden gains attack when it's healed.
Oh, when it's healed?
Yeah. I think it's when anything is healed.
Yeah.
It gains attack. So this is that reworked a little bit. I mean, it's definitely that Priest class identity thing going.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm sorry. I'm done.
All right. Mike, you want to take this next one?
Yeah, no problem. Let me see. All right, so that was Crimson Clergy. Our next card coming up is called Focused Will. Let me see. I know I'm a little bit behind on the stream. I'm excited to see this. Focused Will. Which Discord was showing your screen. But you know how technology works. All right. Focused Will. 1 mana priest spell, rare quality. Silence a minion, and then give it +3 health. In the moment, I can't think of a scenario that I'll use this, and I don't remember myself writing anything down for this card, so I'll pass to Pizza.
Silence Priest, I guess, like is really the only real application. I think the most interesting part about this card to me when looking over the set was that this is one of 2 silence cards in this set. They've rotated out Earthshock, they've rotated out literal card Silence, and now it's this and Ironbeak Owl that I think are holding it down. I think it's pretty interesting, and it kind of again sets a precedent for like future sets. But as far as this card goes, that's like the only real thing that you can really do. They did reprint the Razor Leaf, so maybe that's something that like they want to have happen. A little bit more support for Silence Priest in the future.
Silence Priest. I think the artwork is cute, and that's all I got to say about this. Hydra, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a time where I discover it, and I'll be happy because I was looking to get through a taunt or something like that. Other than that, I don't really have a reason to play this card, so I don't like it. So let's move on to the next card.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I remember when Silence Priest came out and it was a thing for a week there, and everyone's like, oh my god, nobody expected it. But, like, realistically, it's not competitive. All right, Hydra, you want to take this next one?
Sure. We have Thrive in the Shadows. So this is a 2 mana spell for Priest that says, discover a spell from your deck. So this is kind of like Primordial Glyph, except this is specifically a spell that's in your deck, right? So you can tutor the exact one that you would like. You're not going to get the discount on said spell, but I really think that if you're looking for something specific, this is the way to get it. You are mulliganing for this if you need something that's higher up. It's a pretty sweet tutor. I like it. I think it's a good card. Pizza, what do you think?
Is this not also an extra Shadow Visions for like Big Priest and Reno Priest?
Basically,
Oh yeah, that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
for
it
calling me out.
it
Yeah.
is now. There's a little bit of a difference
Yeah.
because this one says discover. So Shadow Visions would give you a copy, right?
Yeah.
Where Thrive in the Shadows now is discover, so you're gonna pull it out of your deck. But at the same time, especially if I'm playing like Reno Priest or Big Priest, like, dude, why wouldn't you just run both? I mean,
Yeah.
still, I think this is pretty good.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's gross. Big Priest is. I mean, guilty as charged. I was playing it last week, but I think it's definitely going to be all over the ladder with this card. Any thoughts on this one, Mike? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. Put it right in Big Priest. Blizzard loves to make cards that, go in line with cards that exist. So I think this is great. I'm not complaining whatsoever. Yo, you guys know me. I was playing Big Priest day one of Dark Moon Fair. So I'm the last person to say anything. I can't front. Nope. Great card.
Yeah. 100% goes in my Reno Priest. All right. Next up is Shadowed Spirit. This is a 3-mana 4/3. Death Rattle, deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. I don't really know what to say about this. This is cute. I suppose you could put it in a quest priest, but I don't really see myself playing this. There's not a lot of value. It's aggressively statted, which seems a little odd for what priest wants to do. Where the reason I see them printing this card is because they're looking at class identity and they're wanting to give the idea of shadow priest more support. So that's where this comes in. It's got an aggressive stat line, and its death rattle deals damage to the enemy hero. Unfortunately, this is not a hunter card, so I I think it's in the wrong class, but it's interesting. Pizza, what do you think?
I think this kind of slots into some of the cards that they wanted for the last format that they included a priest, particularly Rally. I mean, you go Leper Gnome into the 2-mana 3/1 that also has death rattle into a Rally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doesn't matter what your hero power is, you're still smorking, right? So
Yeah.
was it Mind Blast? This thing, that's like half the deck right there, right?
I love it. That's pretty funny. But I like the idea of a potential like an aggro priest. Dude, nobody sees aggro priest coming ever. It's like the opposite of what the deck normally does. I mean, especially Wild Priest is traditionally so slow, like first 5 or 6 turns do nothing. And so when you're starting to get smorked down by a priest, you're like, what the heck is going on? So I like it. That's funny. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this card is pretty cool. Like you said, no one sees it coming. When I see Priest, I usually mulligan for like a slower start. So when the aggro Priest comes and they bring this heat, yay, that's an easy win on me. So I think it's a pretty cool card. I like it.
I like the opportunity just to try out different archetypes. So, hey, if there is a damage priest or the shadow priest or just some sort of aggressive priest, I'm all in. That that sounds fun to me, right? Priest is known for doing the same thing, either rezzing things or doing Reno Priest over and over. So I'm totally okay with it. I mean, I for fun used to just play like a pirate priest. I even put the dragon soul in the deck so you could upgrade a weapon before there was like a Sphere of Sapiens. Just because you could. Like, why not? So I don't know. I think it's fun. I'll give it a shot. I don't know if it's going in anything that's currently available, but hey, it's a new thing. I'll play it.
Nice.
Hey, is March Women's Month?
Yes, I believe March is Women's History Month.
That's fantastic because this brand new card right here, man, this card smacks. I'm excited to see this. Yo, they're stepping up with Rogue. Yo. So new Rogue Legendary, 2-mana 2/3. The ability is combo. Add a copy of the last card your opponent played to your hand. The name is Vanessa Van Cleef. Yo, Van Cleef family stand up. They're not ever going anywhere. This is pretty cool. I don't play a lot of Rogue. I watch a lot of Rogue. I actually never played Rogue until I saw Pizza streaming Rogue, and I don't know if it was a phase. I know you play a lot of different classes and you're good at them, but I know you go through other classes. But at that time, I had never played, and I saw you playing, and I was like, "Yo, I got to try this out," because he was doing some crazy stuff. And like, I know Van Cleef got changed, but Vanessa Van Cleef looks pretty cool. Pizza, yo, what are your thoughts on this card right here, man?
It seems fun to play. Like it Vanessa kind of puts your opponent in kind of an awkward position, but it's not really one that like comes to fruition a lot. Like most of the time, people are not really going to be conscious of like what they're playing in that order. But it doesn't really give you that much of a payoff. I'm actually kind of disappointed that Vanessa like was printed the way that she was. I sort of expected that if they were going to like reprint a rogue card to replace Edwin, it would probably be something like Zeril, and Zeril, which gives you the toxins and gives you like that kind of flexibility. This one seems pretty defensive, and Rogue seems like, especially considering most of the other kind of Rogue cards that they've printed so far, are much more proactive than this. So just like in a vacuum of the core set, she kind of has like not that much synergy associated with her. Like it's an interesting card. It's kind of fun to be able to like take your opponent's stuff, but like the problem is, one, you don't really get a good opportunity for that application, and two, even if you do, you add a copy of one card from your opponent's hand that was the last thing that they played, which I guess like sometimes is going to be some big finisher that you couldn't like get the beginning processes of, if that makes sense. And like you can't really get the same effect. And that it's kind of disappointing, but I mean, you know, it would be very, very difficult to justify reprinting Zeril in this type of a space, and it would be very, very difficult to recreate what Edwin has done for Hearthstone. So I can't really say that like, you know, I was expecting that much, but it's kind of a fun and flavorful card. I think that I'll play it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
When I personally play Rogue, I'm usually playing what Rogue is really good at, is being aggressive. Like in Wild, I'm playing either like a Kingsbane or like an Odd Rogue or like a Hook Scimitar Rogue. Anything that I can make a big weapon and I can hit them with, and I'm putting things that are going face. This does not slot into that for me. It's cute, it's fun, but it doesn't seem to go with my game plan. Like it could possibly go in a fun deck, in some sort of like milkshake style deck where you're having a great time. I'm not going to run it in any sort of aggressive rogue, which is what you primarily see on the ladder in Wild. So not for me. Super cool effect. Nate, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I love the flavor, and again, this is another Goliath card where there's a lot of lore going on here. I think, unfortunately, this card does not want to do what Rogue wants to do. I feel like there's some missed potential here. I can't word it any better. Pizza said it, and I stand by what he said. I think that's correct, and so I'm fine just moving on to the next one.
Cool. Well, up next, we have Novice Zapper for Shaman. It is a 1 mana 3/2 spell damage +1 overload 1. I think this is a pretty solid card. It's a Flame Imp. It's 1 mana. You, of course, do have the overload, but you are throwing this down on turn 1. You already have a threat in a possibly aggressive deck. It's got the bonus of the spell damage, or it could be used for spell damage in a later turn where you need it. It's only 1 mana, so you know, often when you're in a position later in the game and you're floating a mana anyways, it's easy to throw this down before, you know, you're going to use some sort of AoE or some spell damage that's going face, something like that. So I think it's solid. It's cheap. It's got a great body. I think it's a good card. What do you think about this one, Pizza?
I'm a big fan. I loved aggro Shaman back in the day when Tunnel Trog was around. I mean,
yeah,
very well alongside of it, kind of does everything that you kind of want to do in those types of decks, and it even has spell damage on top of it. Like, I like it.
I agree. I think this is Tunnel Trog 2.0. I agree. I think the difficult place is, where does this find a home in Wild? If we could bring back potentially aggro shaman, this slots beautifully in. Like as a 1-drop, this is incredible. It's overstatted. It's got spell damage. The overload is not overbearing. Like, this card is great. I think it struggles to find a home in Wild a little bit, but if we can bring back an aggro shaman, this card's super awesome. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with all you guys' points about the aggro shaman, just to keep it short. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Nice. Okay, well, that is the only new card that Shaman got. So next up, we are in the Warlock class, my favorite class. First up, we've got Ritual of Doom. This is a 0 mana spell classified as a shadow spell. It says destroy a friendly minion. If you had 5 or more, summon a 5/5 demon. I think it's interesting as a 0 mana way to kill your own minion in Warlock is not bad. If you're playing Cube or something, you want to kill your own Void Caller. I'm not quite sure what deck it slots in. I mean, you could potentially put it into a Cube block. I think in Wild, very rarely are you going to get this if you had 5 or more. I think where it potentially slots in is some kind of Zoo deck, maybe, or like someone had mentioned earlier, like a Galakron thing where you're summoning these little 1/1s that, maybe you put it there. I mean, maybe in Dark Lair, if you've got a full board full of stuff and you can kill one of your things to give yourself a 5/5, but I don't really see it because that deck is I don't know, it seems like really pretty good. Maybe it goes in Mechathune. I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't see myself personally playing this, especially not to get its effect. I think there are other ways that I prefer. Maybe there's a way to abuse it in Mechathune, like a 0 mana kill your own Mechathune could be cool. I don't know. Pizza, what do you think about this card?
I think on paper I like it. I definitely like being able to activate Void Caller immediately in Q block just to get that immediate action in case, like, in theory there's any silences. Like as soon as I plop it down in Dark Lair, you could actually use it to generate the 5/5 immediately. I think in like some of the slower lists, it's probably not as justifiable because you have to take a card out of your deck to get to that point. But like, I really like being able to activate Void Caller immediately. That's kind of like the best case scenario, I think.
Yeah, or kill a Cube immediately, or kill a Terran Gorfian immediately. I mean, we've learned over time that 0 mana anything is typically pretty good. So I could see it having some potential there. Hydra, any thoughts?
That's the only thing I see this for, is if you're going to kill your Void Caller or a Cube. I think it is way too conditional if you're trying to run it for the effect of getting your 5/5 demon. Like, I feel like that's going to happen pretty rarely. Even like if you're running a Zoo deck and you're properly trading, you're always going to obviously want to play this first. But I don't see that effect going off that often. But yeah, if I want to destroy my own minion and get a Void Daddy out, like, I'm game. I'll give it a shot.
Mike?
Sorry, I just laugh when you guys call it Void Daddy. It just sounds funny. No, after playing this game for so long, like Hearthstone specifically, when new cards come out, I always train my eye for 2 things. The first thing, look at the mana cost. And then the second thing, see like what the first sentence is. And like all I see is 0 mana, destroy a friendly minion. So this tells me what Pizza said. Activate my Void Caller so you can't play any kind of transformation effects on it, sap it, stuff like that. And then also I didn't discover it, but I saw someone else talking about it. Forget which Discord. I mean, way too many Discords. They were discussing Mechathune combo that involves Ritual of Doom and Shadow Hunter Vol'jin. So I think it's a cool card. 0 mana, destroy a friendly. You guys know Warlock is good. So let's get it.
Yeah. All right, next up. It's Felsoul Jailer, 5 mana, 4/6 demon, battle cry. Your opponent discards a minion, death rattle, return it. It's an interesting effect. I still haven't quite wrapped my brain around this. I think there's some kind of combo potential or disruption potential. The random part of it makes me not want to play it. I don't think that I don't see myself pulling anything out of any existing deck to add this. It's definitely some potential combo disruption, but the death rattle is crappy. I don't know. I don't have anything good to say about this. I'll just pass it over to Pizza.
Yeah, I guess you got to wonder whether or not this is better than Dirty Rat, right? Is the card being in play as like applicable as like the potential for your opponent to get it back? It's expensive. It's, you know, I like the fact that they are including effects like these, because these are like always kind of experimental. And if you look back at when Dirty Rat was printed, you'll find a lot of like interesting developers conversations about like what they were trying to do with Dirty Rat and how this was like a concept of, you know, disruption. But like you gotta reevaluate what your opponent is actually planning on doing, and then look at how it's going to shape up. And I don't think it works.
I don't know. I'm gonna pass on this. It doesn't look like something that I'm interested in playing. It seems like a worse rat, like you were saying, Pizza. Maybe you can get cute with it somewhere, but not for me.
Yeah, this looks like a joke card. Also reminds me of oh man, I would have failed Hearthstone Jeopardy. It's like a 6-mana minion, kind of the same thing. Something moot or loot hoarder or moot. What is it? Not loot hoarder. It's a 6-mana, like destroys a minion, and then when it dies, it comes back or something like that. This card's silly. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I know which card you're talking about.
Yeah,
but it was never good enough to play.
Yeah, no, it was a neutral. So anyway,
Moat Lurker, yeah, that's it.
Moat Lurker, yeah, man, my brain is crazy. Anyway, next card up, Enslaved Fellord, 7-mana demon, 4 attack, 10 health. It's got taunt. Also damages the minions next to whoever this attacks. I love the flavor text. He's not really chained up. He just wears that to scare the imps when they get too unruly. So,
why don't they just call it Cleave? I
don't know, man.
I'm not sure. I like this card. I'll slide to Pizza so you guys can go.
Well, I think it's an interesting card. I mean, it definitely comes off of Void Caller, which is kind of nice. Gets summoned off of Gul'dan. I mean, I guess the problem is that like when this thing finally like makes it into play, how is it going to be applied to the board? And is that better than Void Lord? Is that better than like all the other demons that are kind of applied already? I mean, it's kind of cute. I would want to play it to see the differences between the two, but I like everything that's kind of happening here. It's also less expensive than the Void Lord, so that's like a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. Go for Hydra, that's fine.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to touch on this one quickly before you do, because you're probably going to have the best hot take on this one. I'll just agree with Pete on that one. It is cheaper if you're going to want to play it out of your hand. If you just drew really bad, right, and you're playing like a cube deck, you can. I mean, you don't want to rely on drawing bad, but you can you can toss this on the board before you're going to drop like a Void Lord, if that's like what it comes to. I don't play a whole lot of cube, so I'm not really sure. I mean, the Cleave is really, really nice if you're going to be clearing their board. A lot of the times I like having the Void Lords out, though, because, I mean, it is the most annoying thing to try to get through a Void Lord. This is not nearly as annoying to get through. Void Lord seems like it's a little better at being defensive. This seems like it's defensive and also aggressive in the way that you can, if you're trading, right? You can just clear their board so much easier if you have this out. But I'm going to send this one over to Nate because Nate is our resident cube block player. So what do you think, Nate?
This card is dope. It's so good. It's so good. I think, okay, here's my hot take. Number one, people have been experimenting with Ticketus and Reno Lock, and it's so because when it gets pulled from Void Lord or Void Caller, we don't like that so much. I mean, it's okay. There's some anti-synergy with Witch Willow and stuff like that. This card is awesome, I think. I think in Q block, it potentially replaces Void Daddy, because the downside of running Void Lords is that the 1/3s that they summon are awful in your res pool, where 4/10 is way better. Like this has this like synergizes great with Blood Reaver Gul'dan. or you just run both. I think there's alternatively, you've got the Q block that is running Doom Guards, and I think you could pull Doom Guard out to put this instead. Q block lately has been struggling to find ways to pop their own cube. People have been adding animated broomstick into Q block, and so not that anybody's playing Q block at the moment, but you run animated broomstick alongside this, you've got an 8 mana board clear. And so I think the potential for this card is pretty great. We'll see. And then hypothetically, right, someone else mentioned in chat that if we're looking at potential nerf reversions, nerf undos, that if they get Demonic Lackey and unnerf that, I think, what was it, back down to 5 mana or something, that this potentially pulls something like this guy. And that's just incredible. And so I don't see a real downside to this. I mean, the whole point of Q block is to cheat out giant minions. And this seems pretty cool. I mean, I'm not saying it necessarily replaces Voidlord. It could go alongside Voidlord. Like, this card I don't see a real downside to it. I like this card quite a bit. So, yeah. I'm excited. I think this will be a great one.
We'll definitely have to play with it. I know that you're going to be probably throwing this in right away and giving it a shot. So you can tell us how it goes.
Yeah.
We got, let's move on to the Warrior card. So Warrior got 3 cards. The first one we have is Bloodsail Deckhand. So this is, in my opinion, an awesome card. This is a 1 mana 2/1 pirate. Battle cry, the next weapon you play costs 1 less. So for all you pirate warrior lovers out there, this does not say the next weapon you play this turn. This does say the next weapon you play costs 1 less. So it's a static effect that, like, this is going to happen whenever you get to play that weapon. So it's great. It's a pirate. It's goes along with your ship's cannons if you got those out. In general, this is an awesome card. I like it. I'm going to give it a try. I don't see any downside to this card. What do you think about this one, Pizza? You like this?
I do. I remember watching the CN versus NAEU show matches that they had for Wild a couple months ago, and there was a ton of Pirate Warrior, and that kind of made me a little bit more interested with Ship's Cannon. I think that this slots in very well. It's an extra patches activator. It's good with Ship's Cannon. It's good that it activates. It just sort of leaves that hovering discount on things. I'm a really big fan of just being able to poise yourself to get those types of big swings in these types of decks.
It's 1 mana. That's what I love. It's so cheap. Hey, we can play nerf fiery war axe.
Oh, hey, maybe. I just think, you know what? It's a 1 mana aggressively statted card. 1 mana 2/1 with a good battle cry that's static. If it said the next weapon you play this turn costs 1 less, but I don't see a downside to this. I mean, I guess the tricky question is, what do you pull out to put this in? But man, I don't see a downside. I really like this card.
Yep.
All right.
It's solid.
Let's move on to the next one here. We've got War Cache. This is a 3 mana spell. It says add a random warrior minion, spell, and weapon to your hand. Quick hot take. I suppose you could put this in Odd Warrior. Odd Warrior typically is a value-oriented deck. It's very slow. It's more reactive. This is sort of, it feels in my mind like a tempo loss. It's a 3 mana do nothing, but at the same time, it's definitely value oriented, and so in a class that doesn't do a whole lot anyways, it seems okay. I guess the question is, what do you pull out to put it in? And I think that's very difficult to justify, so I don't really see myself playing this, but if I did, that's where I'd put it. Pizza, what do you think?
I think this was pretty clearly a replacement for most of the cards that got taken out of Standard. Shield Block is gone from Standard, and Acolyte was Hall of Famed recently, so most of the Control Warrior kind of card advantage effects are now gone, and you would much rather play either one of those than this in Wild. It's a good effect, and it'll probably have application in Standard, but they're just better options. So in
Yeah.
Wild.
Yep, it doesn't seem like it's doing anything I want to do in Warrior. I mean, you can add it to a slow, grindy deck, but why not just put the cards that you want to play in the deck
Exactly.
instead of random cards? So that one is a pass for me.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Yeah. So next we have Warsong Outrider, which is a 4-mana 5/4 rush minion for Warrior. And so this card here, I mean, it's aggressively statted. It trades up. However, I mean, it doesn't have a tribe. It doesn't have anything special about it. I think it's cool if you want to trade up with it or if you need to play it on curve. I don't see myself running this card. So, Pizza, do you have any opinions on this one?
I mean, again, this is kind of like Warcash, where like Corcoran Elite is gone from Standard. They need some sort of replacement. Bluegill and Stone to Spore both have Rush now, so they would print something similar to this, so that it would kind of exist. I mean, it's a nice card, I guess. It's nice, but it doesn't really have any application in Wild. It barely has application in Standard.
Agree. It's just a worse Corcoran Elite. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, man. Like, I come from the hood, so like, people like will do a lot of bougie knockoffs. Like, this is a knockoff Corcoran, man. Next card, yo.
Oh man. All right. Next up is called. We have now moved into neutral territory. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 cards left, and we can try to jam through these maybe. This is the first neutral card. It's called Fog Sail Freebooter. This is a 2-mana 2/2 pirate with a battle cry. If you have a weapon equipped, deal 2 damage. And this is 2 damage to anything. Could be face, could be minion. Dude, I think this card is awesome. I like this quite a bit. This slots into Kingsbane. This slots into Pirate Warrior. This slots in like wherever. I really like this card quite a bit. Now, it's conditional, so I think it's better in Rogue than it's going to be in Warrior. But I don't know. I mean, dude, you could even put this in Demon Hunter if you really want to. I don't know. What do you think, Pizza?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I like the application in Rogue. I like the application in Warrior. It's easier in Rogue, but I have to wonder like where in the pirate deck, because it is a pirate, it would fit over, especially considering we were so happy about Bloodsail Deckhand existing. That's now 4 cards that would have to find replacements, and I don't know if this does as good of a job. One, because you already kind of have that damage in the weapons that you have, and it doesn't really like do anything different. So that's my biggest concern. But I think that Rogue might have the flexibility to include it.
I like the fact that it's neutral. I think that's a really good point. Like they didn't try to crowbar it into a specific class. It's not just in Warrior. It's not just in Rogue. So we can, try to put this wherever we want. We can experiment with it. It is like a solid card. Yes, it's conditional that you need to have that weapon up. Rogue seems like the place that I'm going to try it in. If it doesn't make the cut, it doesn't make the cut. But I feel like we're going to see it. People are going to try it out.
Yeah, Mike?
Yo, I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad it's neutral, like Hydra said. I obviously think this is a rogue card, Kingsbane. But yeah, we'll see somebody doing like Spear, St. Pian's Priest, and this will kill you for lethal. So go ahead, next card.
That's funny.
That's hilarious. Okay, next, what do we have here? Overlord. Now, Runtak? Is that how we're going to pronounce this? Runtak?
Sure.
Overlord Runtak is a neutral 5-mana 3/6 rush. Whenever this attacks, give +1/+1 to all minions in your hand. So I like the idea of the fact that we have hand buffing capabilities with this card being a neutral card. And you can do it instantly with a rush. Downside, this comes at 5 mana. So it's kind of late for a wild deck to be buffing your hand. So if I want to be buffing my hand, I want to be doing that a lot earlier. So it's a little bit of a meh for me. Pizza, what do you think about this one?
All right, hear me out.
All right.
Evolve Shaman into Doppelgangster, revolve into another Doppelgangster. I think that's the play. Apart from that, you're right. It's too expensive. I don't think that it's actually going to work.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, I tried to think about it. Like, could this fit in any existing odd deck? And I just don't think so. I mean, it's cute. I like, the stats are okay. The rush is always good. The hand buff, I don't even care about. And so the question, like, I played a lot of Odd Rogue recently, a lot of Odd Paladin, and this doesn't go in either of those. And Odd Demon Hunter either. Odd Demon Hunter is super aggressive, and so I just don't see this. I mean, maybe in Standard it's good, or maybe for budget players. I think that's where this comes in is, hey, you get 265 cards for free, and this is a pretty decent statted Legendary, so if my collection is, really small, or I'm a free-to-play player, you can jam this in any deck that you play, and it'll be okay. In Wild, I just don't think it makes the cut. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely not. So the 11-star mic, this is bad. The 10-star mic, I badly played some of Pizza's Big Warrior, and I like the recruit idea. But what was cool for me, which I didn't really realize going into the deck, what's that card? Athletic Studies. When you discover a rush card, like sometimes those rush cards, man, they're like awesome. So for Nate's point, for the new players, I think this is a card for them. The feeling of rushing this minion in, and then you see that effect of would it be those sticks? I don't know what it'll be, but all the plus bananas, whatever, go to your hand, bust your hand up. You know what I'm saying? Looks nice. I think it's really a new person card, but I just wish hand buff was better. For advanced players, if this costs less, it'd be cool. But the fact that it costs 5, it's like, nah. It seems cool, but nah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this next card.
Yeah, so this next card, I just look it up on my phone. Talon Forging. I'm really curious. That last name catches my eye. 5 mana legendary neutral. 3 attack, 3 health. One of my favorite things about cards is if they have a lot of words on them. So this one's got Taunt, Divine Shield, and Death Rattle. That Death Rattle is draw your highest cost minion. This this makes me think of like a Lore Keeper type of effect, but they're not the same. So maybe they're like cousins, 1 degree removed, whatever it is. They all went to the same school, Skull and Mance. So I think it's a cool effect. Pizza, what do you think?
I think it's good in like your Mechathune decks. I think it's like fine in like some just anything that you're playing something large and you just want to be a little bit defensive. That being said, it's really, really slow. I mean, you can like develop a skull, you can get this and get your Void Lord, get your just like fatty minions, and then try to go off. And I suppose that like is a theoretical situation that you can build, but it's not a very like consistent or good one. I mean, it's just a very expensive thing for what it's doing. And as wonderful as Divine Shield is, it just doesn't seem like it matches up well against a lot of minions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mechathune's kind of where I was leaning to. You can guarantee your Mechathune draw. We have in chat from Ben from Works, bring it out, Mike. You can get your Mozaki. You want that Mozaki?
Yeah. So
wait, you want to put this in Mozaki?
Ask Ben.
So here's my thought. Here's my thought on this card. Well, first off, this is definitely a lore card, right? So Talon Fordring is just for those lore people, this is the son of Tyrion Fordring, the Paladin legendary, right?
Son. Got it.
So so 5 mana 3/3 Taunt, Divine Shield, Death Rattle. It's kind of expensive. Like it's way expensive for the stats, right? I think the only time I see myself running this is if I'm trying to tutor a specific card. I think it would be interesting in hey, if I'm trying to pull a specific combo piece, like I need my N'Zoth or I need my Mizaki, like maybe. I think Ben from Work hit the nail on the head when he said it's bad but I like it, and I sort of agree. I can see the utility. Now, when I played a lot of Mozaki Mage over the past month, my hot take on that is it's super fun, but it's really frustrating when Mozaki is like the last card at the bottom of your deck and you're ready to combo off. And so I could see, like, anytime we have a tutor, like this is like a worse Lorekeeper Polkelt, but it has a specific function, so I'm tempted to want to try it and experiment with it, but I think at the end of the day it's probably not going to be good enough. But the effect is super cool. I mean, we've learned over the years that tutor effects have potential to break games, but this card is so slow that I don't see it being super valuable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can move on. We have now the legendary dragons. So we've got the 6 legendary dragons have all been swapped out. The originals are going to wild, and these are all of the new ones. So first up, we've got Nozdormu the Eternal. 7 mana, 8/8 dragon. At the start of the game, if this is in both players' decks, turns are only 15 seconds long. So the thing to consider about with all of these dragons is that they're basically a spin off of the original. And so original Nozdormu was, hey, players got 15 seconds per turn. And that card over the years had potential to break the game because people would abuse the timer. And now this only works if both people are doing it. And so you see the memes going around, hey, what is it, like play Nozdormu or no guts or whatever. And it's cute. I mean, the stats are actually good for the mana cost. I think this is more of a meme card, but it's cute. I don't really have any other opinion on that. I think we played in the listener series, maybe. I don't know. Pizza, what do you think?
I think it's good that they changed Nozdormu to be eliminated. It sucks to not be able to play as fast for whatever reason, and then to have a Nozdormu to be plopped down, and then suddenly your game is just like over. If you're just like literally not capable of like being able to play that fast. Conversely, it sucks to have a Nozdormu and to understand that your opponent can't play that fast, and then to like have to still play it because that is just your threat. I like this workaround. I think that it's a good, fun, and flavorful way for both players to kind of have like that agreement of just like, okay, it's like we're gonna play faster, and I think it invites a lot of potential tournaments where everybody can play with Nozdormu. I'm excited to see that immediately happen as soon as this releases.
Thank you for saying that. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, I think I've got the exact same feelings on this. I am stoked to see this in a tournament, possibly the listener series. Like having this as a condition, people can play it if they want. People don't have to. I love that you get to choose to play this. Like it's at the start of game. There's no shenanigans where someone can shuffle this in your deck. Nothing like that. Like everybody has to choose to play this. So I think it's good. I think it's good for the game. I'm glad that they got rid of the original just, for the sake of like, yeah, it can, put you on your toes, on edge when somebody drops it. But at the same time, there are ones that play this game that don't have the ability to take that turn. There are people that can't use a mouse, for example, people that use eye trackers to play the game, stuff like that. So like turns could be take a little longer to do. So I think it was a good move. I think it was a good move to get rid of that card.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. As the commissioner listener series, we will be having season 2, 3, 4, 5 in the future. But at the same time, I plan on literally running an internal series. This is the core set. Everyone has access to this card, so we'll be running both at the same time. I really appreciate Pizza for being cool and thinking that that's a cool idea. There have been some other people who are leaders of their communities, and they're just trashing the idea of playing the speed test, and like I'm all for it. Everyone gets access to it, so this is cool. This is very exciting. As you can tell, I'm excited. Let's go.
Cool. Well, speaking of speed, let's move on to the next card. We've got Alex Straza, the Lifebender. So this is the new take on Alex Straza. So its battle cry now reads, choose a character. If it is friendly, restore 8 health. If it's an enemy, deal 8 damage. So this is a new, more versatile effect that Alex Straza has. It says character. It doesn't say hero, right? So instead of 15 damage or heal, we have 8, so that's significantly less. But this could seriously be like a more stronger fireball to the face, because now, like, this can get you lethal, right? Like it definitely can be a finisher. It can save you in a pinch. I think it's more versatile than it was before. And I mean, I wouldn't be upset if I was a new player and I opened this up and I got this awesome new legendary to play around with. How competitive it's going to be, I don't know. It's old. It's going to be, played late in the game. It's expensive. So time will tell, I suppose. Pizza, you got some feelings on this card?
This is probably my favorite dragon of the new cycle. I like the flexibility of it. I like the application. Like you kind of touched on it. I think it's really expensive, and in Wild, the only like 9 mana card that I've seen played has been played for free. So it's difficult to like really plan from the start of your game, but it's still Hearthstone. You can still randomly generate this like all over the place through a variety of ways. So we'll see if like it actually gets that application, that versatility into Wild.
I think for Wild it's kind of slow, but Cream Puff has a good point. Better King Crush. I think that the versatility is what sells me on this card, because hey, I can heal a minion, I can heal myself, I can do 8 damage to a minion, I can deal 8 damage face. If there's taunt, I can go over the taunt. Like, there's just a very versatile. Do I think that I'll put this in any of my existing decks? Like, I sort of doubt it, but like Pizza was saying, there's so many ways to discover dragons that if I get a discover a dragon card and this is one of the options, I'm probably going to pick it most of the time because it's really cool. I agree with also that of the dragons, this is probably my favorite. The effect is super cool. Like, it's so versatile. I love it. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think this very cool effect. Either heal or deal. I'm going to deal 8 every time. Fantastic card. Let's see. Alex is pretty cool. So wait, what do you say, Pizza?
What if it's Reckoning up? You're just gonna throw your Alex like that?
oh wait,
that new Paladin secret.
Yeah, it dies to Reckoning. You're right. Oh man, so they put some tech against Alex Straza in this set. All right.
That's funny.
So this next card is pretty cool. The next dragon in this set, Malagos, the Spellweaver. I'm gonna switch this up. I'm gonna say the name and the ability, and I'll pass it to Pizza first. 9 mana, 4 attack, 12 health. The battle cry is draw spells until your hand is full. Pizza, you go first.
I guess combo decks can probably apply it. If like you really wanted to play the new Cthulhu, you could immediately get those spells and draw something. I guess the 9 mana for drawing your deck is pretty difficult, especially when you can do it so many cheaper and effective ways. Especially like even in standard, you can cycle through your deck like a lot easier. So it's expensive, but it's kind of a fun card. I think more importantly, I think that being able to adjust most of the dragons are pretty interesting. It's nice to find these types of workarounds where like Malagos had spell damage and now obviously like is still interactive with spells. I mean, the entire cycle seems really difficult to apply outside of like the typical Hearthstone ways of just like generating things. But in that scenario where something is generated, this effect probably is still fine. I'm a little bit concerned about the top card of my deck in this scenario, but we'll deal with that when it comes to it.
Yeah, that's my big concern, is that you, depending on how many spells are left in your deck at the time, you potentially fill up your hand, and then because you only have 1 mana left, if you can't play it, then you overdraw 1. I mean, it's interesting. I like that they kept the flavor of Malagos does stuff with spells. I'm a little sad that the spell damage is gone. I think that there's probably some potential with this. I don't really know what that is. Maybe in some kind of combo druid sort of thing, maybe. I don't know. I'm curious. I don't really see myself playing this, but I'm sure that somebody at some point will find a fun way to break this card. Hyder, what do you think?
That's what I love about the Wild format, is at some point in time, someone will figure out a way to break this card. But for now, I mean, it's neat. and I don't have a deck that I'm going to be playing it in. So when somebody comes up with something cool and we see it on YouTube, I'll be there and then I'll be trying it.
What do you think? What did you think about this, Mike?
Sorry, I was see, normally I ignore Twitch chat, and then now I'm engaging and I'm getting distracted, dang. I think the ability is cool. Right now there's so many cards, my brain is like, which card do I pick to try to figure out? But the ability of drawing spells into my hand is full. I like that idea. Makes me think of Myra's Unstable Element minus destroying your entire deck. But I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited for all the reworks. Ready to do this.
Yeah. All right, I'll cover the next one. Next up is Onyxia the Broodmother. It's a 9-mana 8/8 dragon. At the end of your turn, fill your board with 1/1 whelps. This is like that legendary that what was it called? Shogoth or something? Shogu? Shuma. Yeah, there you go. Shumu. Yeah, and so, but like, I just think it's bad. I mean, it's interesting, and like if I late game discover a dragon and this is like the biggest one, I'll take it, but I don't see myself intentionally putting this card in my deck. Neat flavor. I mean, I think that maybe Goliath would say, right, what the card does is very along the lines of the flavor of the card itself, like from a lore perspective or whatever. It's kind of cool, but is it good? Like, no. Pizza, what do you think?
Same. I think the path to actually getting to this compared to Shuma is a lot easier because you can randomly generate dragons, but I'm not seeing it. Not in Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to see play, I don't think, ever in Wild. So pass for me.
No.
Yeah, never. Never.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have the new version of Ysera. So I think that this is pretty spicy. I like this card a lot. So Ysera the Dreamer, its battle cry now says, add one of each dream card to your hand. So instead of plopping down your Ysera, waiting to see what you're going to get, maybe you don't get what you want. I mean, all the cards are pretty good anyways, but if you have 5 spaces in your hand, or even if you don't have 5 spaces in your hand, like, you just get loaded up with these. So I think this is really cool. I really enjoy this. Ysera doesn't see play in Wild right now at all, but I think this is awesome. I think this is a really good improvement on Ysera. I mean, it doesn't keep going forever like the original Ysera can do, but this guarantees you those 5 cards. So, Pizza, what do you think about this one?
I think this one's a little bit more playable than the other cards. I mean, Ysera protects herself now. Dream doesn't bounce any of your own minions back, but it can at least like give you a little bit more defenses. Compared to the last Ysera, I actually think that, like, I mean, I guess you always have better options, but even in something like Big Priest, at least you could still apply it, right? Like, you can still apply regular Ysera, you can generate the thing since it's an end of turn ability. But I mean, in like a slower control deck where you stabilize and then need some sort of a threat, I'll plop down a Ysera and some Laughing Sisters. Like, that's not that big of a deal, right?
I mean, we didn't.
The important part. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say one thing we didn't mention was that they changed up some of the dream cards. I think they changed mana costs or something like that. I don't have them pulled up, but I know that they're slightly different than they used to be. So that's just something to take into consideration. But you get the added benefit of getting them. What are there? Are there 5 of them? I think that's right.
5.
You get them all at once, though, instead of getting one at the end of each turn. Like, if you compare it to Lich King, like an end of turn effect, the idea of getting them all at once and then I can choose which one I want to use. I mean, it relies on you having hand space, and nobody ever runs original Ysera right now at the moment anyways. I think this is super cool as a free-to-play player. I think this is super awesome to discover from a dragon pool, but I don't see myself adding this card intentionally to a deck, but I would be thrilled to discover it. Mike, thoughts?
Yeah, same idea. I'd be thrilled to discover it. In the first 6 days, I'll be jamming this in most decks just to see, like, most cards. But yeah, I'll be thrilled to discover it. This next one, my boy, I love dragons. I love Deathwing. So this next one, I'm gonna do the same thing as last time. I'm gonna hit pizza with it first, but let me introduce it. Deathwing, the Destroyer, what a name. 10 mana legendary dragon, 12 attack, 12 health, battle cry, destroy all other minions. Discard a card for each destroyed. Pizza, what you think, dog?
Same. I mean, I like that it doesn't discard everything. I guess if you're really, really ambitious, your discard warlock can go Deathwing into a bunch of silver golems and then refill your hand. That's like fair application, although expensive, and you're kind of already doing stuff. But I mean, it's got a little bit of playability. The fact that it doesn't discard every card in your hand at least gives you like a path where you're not upset at the end of like the battle cry. So that's like the best. That's like the best that you can really offer, I think.
Yeah, same here. Nate Hydra?
Yeah, I mean, I like it more than the current Deathwing because I think, you discarding less cards is nice. I don't know that I'll ever run it purposefully. Like they're saying in chat, I cannot wait to see the golden animation. I think it'll be amazing. The card art is beautiful. I think this is one of the few dragons that is like better in its new form than its old one. The utility is interesting. I mean, you discard less, but aside from that, I mean, I don't have any real thoughts. Hyder, what do you think?
I definitely think it's an improvement on the last one, and yes, the art is awesome. I'm not probably ever going to play it unless it just gets, if I discover it, or I'm picking it in another game mode. I don't see it seeing play in Wild at all. But hey, if it's there and I'm already winning and I'm discovering it, I'm gonna pick it because it's dope. I like it, but like I said, not worth a deck slot in my opinion.
Yeah,
definitely not. So looking at the list, that wraps up all the cards. Am I correct in that, Nate? Before I transition into the next segment?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, yes, that is all the new cards. So we've touched on them all at this point. Excited to see them drop. I don't know. Part of me wishes we could talk about it all night long, and part of me is like, I'm ready to move on. So, what do we got next, Mike?
Yeah. All right. So, in our next segment, we have Wild Decks of the Week. For me, I had brought to the show this goofy little warrior deck. It's a play on this week's challenge from our listener league. It's big dragons only. So the 10 minions in there that matter for this conversation: Plague Proto Drakes. We have Runaway Blackwings, Sleepy Dragons, Ysera in its current form, and Evasive Draconoids. So just like most big warriors, just try to buy time until you can start recruiting. And one of my favorite things to do is to rip Dimensional Ripper on Runaway Blackwing, and you have two 9/9s. Are they 8/8s? The 9/9s, I forget. But anyway, they're throwing their fire at the enemy minions. What do you call it, Nate? Dragnaros?
Dragnaros.
Yeah, Dragnaros is pretty dope. You pop two of those off, it's awesome.
That card,
that
card is way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. I like it a lot.
I love that card. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been playing this a couple games on ladder, more in casual, but it's a fun little deck just to goof around. I could put it in Discord if anybody wants to see it. Little joke deck, but that was my deck this week. Let me slide it over to our esteemed guest, Pizza. Pizza, you got a deck for the week? What you been playing? What's going on?
I do. When you guys invited me, I started playing a little bit of this discard or zoo deck. I wanted to play Q-Block. Q-Block's my favorite deck from the past, but I found this one and I really wanted to play Doomguard just like a lot faster. It's like pretty basic stuff. I mean, I think that Dark Glare in general is probably just the strongest of the zoo deck, but it's had a lot of cards that I just hadn't really gotten access to in quite some time. And I feel like that's like one of the big bonuses of Wild is being able to like kind of just look at cards that you've played in the past and kind of, just take a second and go back to it. So
yeah,
kind of just been jamming this in like silver.
Oh yeah, love
Stomping
it.
people down in silver. I guess if you're not playing, you don't jump in too much, right? So you're hopping in there, your pizza. You play this game how many hours a day, and then you're stomping everybody down in silver. It's great. People are like, what the hell?
Top 100 standard legend. It's silver and wild. I love it. It's funny. But that's the point. I
Coming
mean,
in silver, busting your head open. That's gotta feel great. If I'm one of them, like Peach just beat me up, yo. Love it.
I mean, I will say I kind of like I have nowhere near that exact feeling, but on like a lower scale when I do dip my toe into standard, I've got a much lower star bonus when I hop into standard. So sometimes I feel a little bit bad because I'm probably playing against newer players or something like that, and I have been playing the game for 6 years now, so usually it's a pretty easy time when I hop in, and that's I mean, it feels good. I like wins, but so I have been playing some as Pizza. You brought it up, Dark Glare Warlock, and this deck can be absolutely gross. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the deck. I actually did some co-op with our friend Glare, and he was helping me out with it a bit. There's a lot of different things to take into account. Your matchups when you're playing this, you got to be aware of what burn your opponent can have. But as we were talking about before, I like the idea of having your own game plan and just totally like going for it. Like if they've got the answer, so be it. If not, like this is a total like gung ho deck. Like drop yourself down real low, drop your giants down. It's really fun. If they can't clear your board or they don't have any reach, like they're dead. So I really enjoy it. With this list, it runs Zephyrs because you cycle through the deck so quickly that like quite often Zephyrs is active. So you can get surprise lethals with it. You can get rid of their ice block. You can, just get more attack on your minions. It's great. Like it'll give you lethal quite often. So I enjoy it. It's got the Lotheb in there for those priest matchups. It's super fun. It's not the most straightforward deck other than get your health as low as possible to get your giants out. That's like the main idea. Obviously, it's a lot of fun. I like it. So that's the deck I've been playing, and I'm going to play it a lot more. I'd like to get better with my matchups at it, so I'm going to keep playing it.
There's a lot of APM involved. I definitely recommend watching people like Glare, like Mentalistic, like Gold Daniel pilot this deck. It's definitely a tier 1 deck right now. It's difficult to play.
Yeah, I fully agree. I ran out of time, speaking of the APM, on a lot of turns where I am trying to decide, like, placement also kind of works. Like, you need to know where you're putting your minions, because you run the Sun Fury Protector, and, like, a lot of times at the end of turn, you'll drop your animated broomstick, because you will have this crazy turn, and then in the end, you have to make trades afterwards. So, it's awesome, and if you love a challenge, I highly recommend it. And if you love saying, hey, loser, this does that a lot. To yourself. You're pen-flinging yourself in the face over and over again. So remember that. Pen-flinger is for your face. So,
hey, losers. All right. For my deck, I brought this Odd Rogue. This is what I played this week to hit my 1K wins with Rogue. I got the deck list from Swagwar. It's it's very similar to the deck that Martian Boo brought a few weeks back, with a couple cards changed out. It's running Henge Clan Thug instead of the what is it called? The 2/1 charge with Divine Shield. I can't think of the name, but Argent Horse Rider. Argent Horse Rider. Yeah. So it's running that instead, but it's like super aggressive. This deck is like pedal to the metal. You win by turn 5, maybe turn 6, or you lose. But I was able to sit down and jam out the wins very quickly. I kind of took a borrowed a page out of Wildcard's notebook. So last week, Wildcard did a co-op stream with Duin where Wildcard hit his 1K wins with Hunter. And so I did that. I hung out with my friend Blue Train, who is very, very good rogue player, and sat down and just jammed through games. And we did it so quickly. I mean, I had 10 wins left. It took a little bit less than an hour and a half. And it was cool. I went from 1,500 down to about 800 legend. That was cool. And the deck is just really fast. I like it. And I recommend it. Something that I want to interject real quick, especially for everybody, either watching or listening. These decks, we'll post the codes in the show notes. They'll be on the website. They'll be show notes in the YouTube video. And so if you're interested in playing the decks that we've been playing, we'll give you the codes for those and you can try them out for yourself. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, you have a question or something?
Oh no. I was looking at the show notes. You're about to transition to patrons. I was gonna say it might be beneficial to read who's not a patron. Oh, all right.
These are fun. Okay, so transitioning. I do want to say a big thank you to the patrons of our show. Especially a giant thank you to Shokunin, who is the executive producer of our show. We jokingly call him the Santa Claus of Hearthstone. Saw him swing by and
really is.
Saw him swing by this week and drop a big gift off to one of the listeners in our Discord, and that was super cool. Just really awesome, nice guy, and I appreciate him. And also want to say a big thank you to the patrons of our show. So Disruptor 108, Claudette G, Daniel B, Justin M, Wildcard, Armorn, Ben from Work, Corin J, and AJ Gomez. Thank you guys so much for your support. We really appreciate you. If anyone out there watching or listening is interested in supporting the show financially, you can visit our website at borntobewildhs.com. If you click on the Find Us page, there's a link to our Patreon. We've also got a bunch of awesome merch there as well. If you're Hydra was wearing a Born to Be Wild hat right now. If you guys, I think a shirt too. Now that I see it.
Hat and shirt.
Merch turned out super cool. I'm excited. It turned out way better than I ever thought that it would, and so I love seeing it. And big shout out and thank you to Wildcard and his wife who run our online shop. And thank you guys for that. Alternatively, if you're someone who's on Twitch a lot, we do have new emotes. We've got 3 of them now, and so if you want to subscribe to us on Twitch, you got access to those really cute bronze dragon emotes. They're a lot of fun. And you can unlock those by subbing to us on Twitch. Anyways, so Mike, you want to talk about this weekly challenge?
Yeah, let's jump into this. As we transition out to the show to finish up here. For new listeners, what is a weekly challenge? It's 2 packs and bragging rights. Initially created by Hydralisk. Somehow it has now floated into my district and territory in the show, so it's no problem. So let's get right into it. Last week's challenge, I really thought of it off the dome. Discover Mimron's head, and summon Voltron. And I didn't think anybody would do it. I really thought it was really some slick stuff. I just thought discover this random legendary that's a mech. There's no way you could do it. But I guess we had somebody do it like an hour later or 2 hours later. What happened, Nate? What was the exact thing?
Yeah, it was, right? I think we were doing, so after the show, previously we used to do a co-op match, and then lately we've been streaming our listener series matches after the show, and it was like halfway through the match between Shia and Gold Daniel, someone pinged us that they had completed the challenge, Mediocre Ogre, and it was like, what?
I was like, nah. I was like, hell nah, no way.
This is something that we didn't think anyone was going to be able to even do. And so what we discover each week is that we are apparently making these too easy for people. And so we're trying to do things maybe a little bit more open-ended this week.
Mm-hmm. So this week, I've decided, you know what? I'm going to take this challenge to something I've been doing myself. We did a challenge, something that Marsha Boo had suggested. And then the challenge last week was really based off a match me and Nate had in our listening series. But this one is something that I really have been doing myself, and I love it. So this week's challenge is Mozaki Mage. You need to post a screenshot in our Discord in the contest entries page of a 0 mana Ice Lance, and whoever has the highest damage wins. There is no bending, there's no changing this rule. There's a lot of people who are very slick and very savvy, I've learned in our that find ways to not, slip and slide through. So for the official ruling, post the screenshot of the highest damage with a 0 mana ice.
Yeah, okay. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Game on.
So what I like about this is, we can do this all week long. And this was the idea behind that like weapon challenge. Same idea, right? So the Ice Lance has got to cost 0. And I'm looking for someone to like, hey, let me see your 20 damage Ice Lance. And then someone will post a 25, 26. I seen Mike personally post one. I think it was 33. So
37.
30. Oh my goodness. So
yeah,
but
Ozaki,
But you can't compete in this, Mike, and don't give away your secret either. I know how you did it, and I think you've said it on the show before, but it's definitely doable. And so this will go to one person. What we've done historically is if multiple people complete the challenge, they kind of will get put in a drawing or whatever. This is like, whoever can get the biggest one, and if for whatever reason there's a tie, it's going to go to whoever did it first. So. This will be interesting. 0 mana Ice Lance, the most spell damage. Yeah. For our last week's winner, Mediocre Ogre was the one who did it first. We also had able to complete the challenge were Mega Mog and Seth. And so congrats to you 3. We are going to go ahead and gift the packs to Mediocre Ogre.
I want to throw one thing in here real quick. We did have one more that happened. I don't know if I mentioned this one to you, Nate. This was very, very interesting. So what happened was I was co-oping with Blue Train and Glare. We were on the Wild Legend ladder against a Linecracker Druid, where the Linecracker Druid had discovered Mimiron's head, right? Not on purpose. They were not trying to do the challenge, but they had heard the show, and so they're also running target dummies in the Linecracker Druid in the first place. So they happened to get the Mimiron's head discovery, and so it all came together where they were able to play the Mimiron's head with the target dummies and do the Voltron thing, all without like doing it on purpose. It was like a complete accident.
Wow.
And then so we got Glare to add them as a friend and talk to them afterwards. And I, for the life of me, can't remember the name of the person who did it. So if you're listening, you can reach out, because that was absolutely amazing that it happened so strangely, randomly on the ladder. And like, I don't know what the odds were for like me to be speccing the game where it was happening live. I was like, they're doing our challenge. They're totally doing our challenge live, like right now. It was a really neat experience. Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, real quick, Pizza. I know you are a big time streamer. I know you're focused on doing your thing. I'm not trying to sell this right here to you, but just the idea of it. What do you think of like doing like Hearthstone challenges, like for a podcast or for a show or anything like that for a streamer? Like if they had that, what do you think of that?
I think it's great. I think it's good to have something that like kind of engages people, and Hearthstone is has such a variety of possibilities that I think that giving people something to kind of aim for is it's healthy. It keeps people kind of invested into what they're doing week after week in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's a fun thing for people to do. Sometimes you get sick of the grind, and it's something for you to go, like, hey, this is cool. Let's see who can get the biggest weapon, who can summon this. Like it's just fun, and I'm glad that so many people try to do it, and still amazed at how many people do it so quickly. We've had to step this up because we've had people do the challenge before we were done the show. Like we've announced it, and then we got people typing in chat or in Discord, did it already. It's like, okay.
Yeah, the Mimrons had. I was like, "There's no way," and then you said like an hour. It's like, oh, okay,
That's
All right.
funny. So
That's ridiculous.
just one final time for those who are listening to this, the way that you show proof. All right, first off, yeah, it's whoever gets the highest spell damage 0 mana Ice Lance. What you got to do is take screenshot, enter our Discord. There's a channel called Contest Entries. Post the picture there, and that's where we'll see it. And so looking forward to seeing that. To find the Discord, go to the website, borntobewildhs.com. Click Find Us. There's a link to the Discord. So, yeah, really excited about that. I think this will be a lot of fun. And one other thing that I did not have in the show notes before we do our final wrap-up is that we've got, surprise, not just one, but 2 bundle giveaways. So we were gracious.
Oh.
We were... no, this was super cool. We were really blessed by a couple different people. First off, we got gifted 1 standard bundle by Blizzard to give out to y'all people here, and that's really exciting. I love it when Blizzard reaches out and sponsors some packs. It's really awesome for the community. In order to enter this first one, this giveaway, what you got to do is join our Discord, go in the contest or entries page, post a picture of your favorite card from this upcoming set. Could be the core set, could be this new set, but I want to see a picture of your favorite new card that's coming out. That's it. Post a picture there on the contest entries page. You'll get entered into a raffle for this bundle. And and then we can do it on the show. Not quite sure yet if it's going to be next week or the following week. We'll have to talk about that. But soon. And really excited, really grateful to Blizzard for the code and looking out for the wild community here. And then we had pass it over to Mike, but we have one more bundle to give away as well.
Yeah, real quick, shout out to Blizz. Thank you guys, for recognizing, the efforts we're doing over here. Really appreciate it. I know Nate has a connection with Chris and the gang over there, so I just want to shout out for my chair on the podcast. Thank you to you guys.
It's very much appreciated. Yeah,
for real. So along with that, I was excited to hear that news, and then I got hit with a DM from a subscriber of mine on my Twitch stream. Totally caught me off guard. Didn't expect it. I didn't prompt it, but he had asked me if I would be willing to do a giveaway. He would like to do the $49.99. He thinks that we have a great podcast here. He loves the community, and he thinks we're doing great things. So they wanted to name anonymous. They don't want to be named or have any shine. They had requested that I do the giveaway on my Twitter. And one of the requirements, because they want to spread good cheer and help people across the world, they required within this giveaway for people entering that it would be a screenshot of you donating $5 to your favorite charity. So understand that this giveaway that I got from my subscriber, their goal was to have people enter the giveaway, but also to donate to their favorite charity so that it kind of spreads good cheer. This is in no way that you're giving me money to enter this giveaway. This is you posting a screenshot of you paying $5 to your favorite charity to enter the giveaway. So to enter that giveaway, for the people watching right now, I will be posting this link on my Twitter. I have a new one set up. For those listening to this, the link will, by the time this reaches you, will have been shared by the podcast Twitter, and it will be in the pinned tweet. All the giveaways and the details will be in a pinned tweet put together by me coming soon. So you will not be missing out on anything. The winner's pick for this will be down the road. So I'm really excited that Blizzard hooked us up, and then also that a subscriber from my Twitch stream donated $50 for a giveaway. I'm just excited. Like every expansion season, a new card it feels like Christmas, and like when people pay it forward and they want to help spread goodwill, like I'm all for it. You guys know me, man. I just like to have a good time. So this is fantastic. I'm really excited. Really excited.
Yeah. It's really amazing. And so anonymous shout out to that person. That's really cool. I like that. Just trying to help out anywhere you can. So that's a really good idea. And so, yeah, really stoked to be able to do those giveaways. So to wrap things up, I really want to thank our special guest Pizza for giving your time, for coming on the show. We really, really enjoyed having you on the show, Pizza. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
For the people who are listening, we have majority of our listeners, of course, are Wild listeners, but I would assume that most people already know who you are. But for those who don't, could you maybe tell everybody where they can find you and follow your content?
Sure. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/pizzahs. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/PizzaTCG. And you can find me on YouTube, where I upload content maybe once every decade at youtube.com/pizza/pizzahs. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Because you know what? Like, I primarily watch Wild streamers, but whenever I hop over to Standard, I always look on my left side of my screen on Twitch, and I see Pizza on there in the evening, and I always click on Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I always appreciate your stream. Not always chatting, lurking, dropping those Prime subs in there, and yeah, I love your content. And it was actually, Galakron Warlock that you were playing a while back. Because of you, I blame you. I spent money and crafted that entire deck gold.
Oh, damn!
I still did. I was like, man, Pizza's killing it with this deck. I'm not Pizza, but I was like, he's just mowing over people. So I totally did. I crafted that entire deck gold. I have a problem.
What's important is he had fun. That's what's important.
Yeah, I had fun. So, yeah, thanks once again. And everybody go follow Pizza. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Hydralisk_HS, and look for me in the Discord. Always there. We've got a great community in there. You got any questions about the decks that we've been playing, or you just want a good place to come and hang out with other Wild players, it's a really good place to be. And, yeah, come check us out. Mike, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys, like always, find me here Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, Born to be Wild HS. Real quick, I just want to say thank you to Pizza for coming on. I'm not sure when I was even on your radar, but I know I was in a conversation on for people of color. So that made me feel comfortable to even approach you, to even, to ask you to come on the show for the idea I had for this month. And it really, for me, not knowing you, always being a fan, just watching you being here for 3 hours, like, you really are the same dude. You're a stand-up person. You have a cool demeanor. And I approached you and I was like, yo, I got this idea. Would you? And like, you could ask 1,000 questions. You could have maybe jumped hoops and been all uppity, like some people would be, but you just, you're mad cool. You accepted. So I just want to say thank you, man. Like, can't thank you enough. I've been a Twitch sub for 3-4 months now. So like, I already knew about you. I didn't have money before, so I couldn't. But I've been a fan for a minute. Hey, just keeping it real. I was broke. I'm still broke, but I'll throw you some, there's a little bit. But I love Pizza. It's a cool stream. Like, I can't say enough. I'll always be a fan. So thank you, man. For real.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really appreciate your time. And again, I think I can join the other guys in saying, having a total fanboy moment, having you on the show. It's great to hear what your thoughts are on all these new cards and everything. I think that you've got a really unique perspective, especially someone who's been playing the game for as long as you have and at the level that you have. It's just amazing to have you on. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to hang out with us on Friday night. So thank you so much for being here.
No problem. It's great. It was great to be here.
Awesome. If anybody's looking to follow me, I'm on Twitter primarily. It's at NateWolfTCG, NateWolfe TCG. More importantly, you can find the show at borntobewildhs.com. On there, you can read more about us. There's links to videos, there's links to content, there's links to all of our other stuff. The Discord is probably the best place, like Hydra was saying. And so, yeah, thank you to everybody who watched live. Thank you to everybody who's listening to the audio or watching the video version of this podcast. Looking forward to it. And we got some exciting things in store for you next month. So stay tuned, and we will see you all next week on Born to Be Wild.